From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Hey, thank you. It's 6 minutes past the hour. Thrilled to be back, and we have a lot to impart on a busy day. We are jammed. I mean, it's 10:06 right now. I'm not going to get in what I came to do. Kirk Conover next hour, Chuck Malamut the next hour, Michael Harrison, founder and publisher of Talkers Magazine, the hour after that. Also, we will have a worldwide exclusive during Michael's appearance this morning, and we won't make you wait. We'll get it in early. I'm thinking about President Biden purposely doing nothing for 3.5 years. And let's not forget, he did do something. On day one, he reversed policies that were working beautifully at the border. So today, late and wrong and not enough, Biden will sign an executive order. And it's a crazy executive order. It's still going to let 2,500 people come into our country illegally every day? What kind of policy is this? So they'll wait in line. Oh, I'm not in the first 2,500? Okay, I'll just wait till tomorrow. I will be tomorrow. And then if it goes below 1,500, they get to come in. What is this crap? So good news. 65% of Americans disapprove of Biden's handling of the border. And the reason I point that out is understand something. Just because something is dead wrong doesn't mean that the American people get it. The propaganda, the Democrat media, the lies that they tell. And I'll tell you what the new lying of the Democrats, and it's not that new, but the past couple of years, they ignore facts, and then they tell you there's no facts. You present facts, and they tell you there are none. Fauci did it yesterday. Democrats do it all the time. You have no proof. You have no facts. Well, it just gave you your emails. No facts, no proof. They simply lie, and this is my expression, they lie about lying. And here's another thing. Some people are now, Marco Rubio said 9 million. I think it's more like 12, 15 million. We don't know. It's been wide open borders, so we don't know how many have gotten in here. And just think a couple of years ago how you had your civil liberties taken away, controlled, where you could go, where you couldn't go, what was open, what wasn't open. 1/3 of all restaurants closed forever. Think about things like health clubs, gyms. How in the world any of them have been able to stay open is a miracle. Tilton Athletic Club, gone forever. Sentimental to me because I was part of the day one opening team. Gone forever. Wouldn't have been. But if you can't stay open, you can't generate revenue, you can't stay in business. So they decided who would win and who would lose. And there was no rhyme or reason to any of it. Liquor stores open, churches closed. Gyms closed, restaurants closed. Restaurants with social distancing, and of course we knew it then and we really know it now. Now the evidence is the 6 feet social distancing between people, places, things, tables, all of it garbage. We were lied to. Follow the science. There was no science. They talk smack, and then if you didn't get along with it, go along with it, you got canceled. People lost their jobs. Teachers lost their jobs. Doctors, nurses, others lost their jobs. This is the game. This is the game they played, and they got away with it. And another thing, and this is my main point, Biden has allowed illegals that are not tested for anything. COVID-19, we don't have to even start a list. They're not tested for anything. Diseases that we had cured are now back. New problems are being brought in. Biden allows illegals to be spread all over the country. No vaccinations, no background checks, and this has been happening for 3.5 years. But just remember how Biden and these maniacs, what they got away with. Illegals, no problem. You know, illegals don't even go through TSA. I mean, this is mind-boggling how this is allowed to continue. Well, it better not. Let me tell you something. I'm telling you this right now. If the American people vote for more of this, whether it happens through trickery, flat-out cheating, or this is the will of the people, this country is finished. And you've never heard me say that before. I've talked about critical tipping points, many serious things we have talked about over the past almost 32 years. I'm telling you right now, if Biden and these Democrats get 4 more years, we are finished. So, I mean, something will exist, but it won't be the United States of America. It will not be the country that we know, the country that we love. It'll be over. So when you hear me say over the next 5 months, because that's it, and it really isn't even 5 months because people are going to be voting very, very soon. We have election months, not election day. And incidentally, welcome to primary election day. So much going on. I meant to mention that in the beginning. But I really wanted to underscore how Biden has allowed illegals to enter this country uninvestigated, unchecked, and then they spread them all over the country. You know, the 2 New York City police officers that were shot yesterday, part of some Chilean gang that we've been telling you about. These gangs that are very, very sophisticated. They case the joints that they're going to rob. They put in surveillance ahead of time, watch, and then they strike. This is just remarkable. And Biden has let all of these people into the country. And in case you're wondering, I haven't commented on Hunter Biden. I will after the first break. The jury is selected. I'm going to tell you the composition of the jury. We'll get to all of that. Amazing. It's not the main part of Michael Harrison's appearance today, but we're certainly going to talk about it. This Friday, I will be in New York, Long Island, New York, for the 27th annual Talkers Conference. And this one is going to be a lot about artificial intelligence and all kinds of new stuff. It's titled, the theme of the conference, it's an all-day conference. It's really amazing. I have the privilege of being the moderator of an amazing panel of brilliant people from around the country on all kinds of new things. Artificial intelligence and a bunch of new stuff that's going on. It's going to be an amazing 35-minute session. We have 3 major speaking roles at the conference, and I'm really looking forward to it. We'll no doubt, Michael doesn't like to talk about that a lot. It's an insider-type trade conference, but it's not that I should preface that or correct that. It's not that he doesn't like to talk about it, but it's not open to the public. It's not the kind of thing that you do a whole lot of promotion of. It is always a sellout, and the crowd is amazing. Everybody in radio and television that you can think of. Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, everybody. I mean, it's incredible. So we'll be doing that. Also, I have been tapped to be the master of ceremonies for the closing session. And I'll introduce Brian Kilmeade, and then that session will be the Freedom of Speech Award will be given out. And John Katasimetis will be getting that, the owner of WABC Radio in New York. So a lot going on. Busy week. A lot to do here. And when we come back, we'll give you an update on the Hunter Biden trial. I never did find out how many preemptory challenges each side had. I have a sneaky suspicion that they got more than 10. They had a jury pool of 250 people, and they winnowed that down to 35, and then they chopped that down to 12 and 4 alternates. So the jury is set. We'll tell you all about that next. And all the media has just been so different in their coverage. They're talking about addiction and all of this, not dropping the hammer on Hunter Biden at all. The pain of addiction. And look, I'm very sympathetic about all that. But it is amazing. If your name is Trump, you get crushed. And if your name is Biden, they build in excuses for you. We'll be back. Much to do. Back in a few.
In a world full of fake news, AI, and unverified information on social media, where can you get the latest, most accurate South Jersey news? WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Don't wait for the newspaper to come in the mail. The WPG Talk Radio app is updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Accurate, dependable, reliable. When you need to know, it's WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Fox News commentary.
China is cracking down on wealth-flaunting social media behavior. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Something amazing is happening when power outages strike. Teams are powering through them. That's because CDW Solutions architects are building more resilient IT and electrical infrastructures with Schneider Electric. With EcoCare remote monitoring services and 24/7 support, your organization can do more than keep the lights on. Schneider Electric and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Schneider Electric.
China might have birthed the mind virus known as TikTok. When it comes to the communist control of their own social media, freedom of expression isn't a thing. Last month, China's Cyberspace Administration, the national internet regulator, introduced a campaign to restrict influencers who, quote, create a wealth-flaunting persona, deliberately showcasing a luxurious life built on money in order to attract followers and traffic. The crackdown has begun with several influencers on the Chinese version of TikTok reporting restrictions to their accounts and followers after their brazen wealth-flaunting on the app. You know, I'm not a fan of wealth flaunting on social media, but it's worth noting that while TikTok is fighting an American ban on the grounds of free speech, the company's home country heavily censors and restricts its own people on that very same app. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't believe in freedom. Ironic, isn't it? I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine.
Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. It's Harry Hurley for my friends at Ambient Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning Professionals and the $59 air conditioning tune-up special for new customers. There are many, many hot days ahead, and the sooner you discover a problem, the easier the repairs tend to be. You may have already noticed that your system is not cooling your home like it used to, and while the price of just about everything has gone up, Ambient Comfort's tune-up special is the same affordable price, just $59 for new customers, and it's well worth it. Their certified technicians will perform a thorough precision tune-up on your system. They'll make sure it's safe and running at maximum efficiency when comfort matters. Choose who I choose. Choose Ambient Comfort. Schedule your tune-up now at ambientcomfortnj.com. That's ambientcomfortnj.com, or you can call 609-568-0955. That's 609-568-0955 for your $59 AC tune-up for new customers. Tell them Harry Hurley sent you. So get a load of this. They had 250 people to choose from, 250. A guy made it to the final 36 who acknowledged up front that he's an acquaintance of Joe Biden, the First Lady. I mean, how do you make it? Now, he didn't make it to the final 12 or to the 4 alternates. Incidentally, I would have picked at least 6 alternates. You just never know in this kind of thing. I would have picked more than 4. So an acquaintance of Joe Biden's made the cut. There were people that said that they thought that President Trump was politically prosecuted. That was brought up in the questioning. I don't know why, but it was. Let's see. Let me give you a little flavor for this jury of 12. I don't have anything on the 4 alternates. Juror number 1 is a woman whose sister is also an addict. Juror number 2 is a woman who worked for the Secret Service. I might have knocked both of them out. Juror number 3 gets her news from YouTube. That's a woman juror. Juror number 4, it's 6 men, 6 women. Juror number 4 is a woman, feels that weed users shouldn't own a gun. If I was Abby Lowell, I would have knocked her off. Juror number 5 is a man who is unemployed and previously pleaded guilty to a DUI. Juror number 6 is a man who owns 3 pistols. I'm sharing with you because this information is public. I'm not saying that any of this description is particularly remarkable. Some of it I think is disqualifying, but juror number 7 is a man whose father owned a firearm. Juror number 8 is a father. Oh, no, take that back. Juror number 8 is a man whose father was killed by a gun. Mother was sent to prison for drug possession. Wow. Tough life. Juror number 9 is a woman who owns a gun. Juror number 10 is a man, family members, who has family members who suffer from alcoholism. Juror number 11 is a woman whose family hunts and owns hunting rifles. Friend died from a drug overdose. Juror number 12 is a man whose brother is an addict who had a gun. 27 minutes past the hour. Tell you what I'm really looking forward to. It is June 4th, and in about 2 weeks, the oak tree pollen in general, will be gone. It is, I'm telling you, unless you have allergies, it's impossible to convey to someone how inconvenient they are. And I'm not being special or anything, because I never suggest that I am. It's particularly challenging if you're a broadcaster, because it goes right to your throat. You get choked up. I mean, it's tough. I'm not kidding you. I play injured for about March 1, especially April 1. But starting in March through about the first time I stopped being a house cat is, except I was out for the entire Trump rally. And boy, did I pay for that. Days I paid for that. I was out from 12 noon until whatever time at night, 6 o'clock, whenever it was. Brutal. But my first re-entrance into the outdoor world of society is typically the golf tournament. Now third Thursday in June. Even that, though, I broadcast from the inside, but the doors are opening a lot, and I'm very near doors, so I'm kind of in it then. But I go out and I greet the golfers, so I'm out there for a bit right before 9 o'clock. That goes on. I'm probably out there all told for 10, 15 minutes. And then I pop out a few times during the day, and if we're doing the awards and all that outside in the nice little courtyard, I'm out there probably for more than an hour or more with that. But that typically is the first time that I'm out for any length of time. I mean, I go where I have to go, but I try to avoid anything that keeps me out for an extended period. A little bit more on Hunter, and they say the trial is going to last maybe 2 weeks. So by this time, tomorrow-ish, next week after, it'll be done. Could be done by the end of next week. If not, it would be done the following week. Matter of fact, let me take a look at something. Let's just say it's 2 weeks. It started yesterday, but today actually starts the case. But they do have the jury in place. Let's just say, let's treat today as the start date. Tuesday, June 4th. They think they're going to be done by next Friday, which will be the 14th. And then you have the first debate on Margie's birthday, June 27th. So a lot will be happening. You very well could have a convicted president and a convicted felon first son. And in fairness, the president, Trump's, is BS. Hunter Biden's is not. And Hunter Biden's not done. I think they've made a big miscalculation. I think doing the second trial in September is a disaster. And keep in mind, there's no rule, you don't get involved, you don't know politics, you can't have a trial that close to an election. Hunter Biden's not a candidate. But yet it will be the son of the president in a tax evasion court case. Literally right before the election. I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of if the Supreme Court takes Trump's case or doesn't take the case right away and wants it to go through the New York appellate process first, which obviously is going to mean that he'll be a convicted felon through the election, which is exactly what the Democrats want. They know what's coming. Believe me, they know it. They know it better than you know it. But by the election, that is going to be so old news. I mean, you know how fast things move on to the next thing. And keep in mind, the Democrats aren't done. You got crazy Democrats that are filing to take Trump off the ballot. All the old stuff, convicted felon, you got to take him off the ballot. None of that's true. Convicted felons can run for president. There's nothing to what they're saying and doing, but they don't care. This is what they do. They never stop. And that's something we've been telling you for a long time. They never, ever stop. By the way, I'm late for the break, but I do want to mention this because I meant to mention it yesterday, and I know what's going to happen. The whole show will go by, and I won't mention it a second day. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee announced yesterday that she has pancreatic cancer. It's probably, other than what Senator McCain had and Ted Kennedy had, the glioblastoma, this is the worst news. Not that every person with pancreatic cancer dies, but almost every person. Very, very bad. It's a terrible, like when you hear about cancer, you want to hear somebody say prostate and it's early, or thyroid. These are ones that are almost, nothing's 100%, but near, very near 100% cure, not just treat, but cure. Maybe they take lymph nodes out and things like that just to make sure that it hasn't spread, but very, very curable. Pancreatic cancer, unless you're Sid Asher and a handful of people, it's almost always Alex Trebek. It's almost always a death sentence. I can't stand her politics, but I will never be like them. Understand, if they heard that Trump had pancreatic cancer, you saw the way these animals, these monsters, celebrated in the courtroom, on their TV programs, Sonny Hassans of the world, and these human maggots celebrating, laughing, gleefully, prison, cheering. They would cheer news. I will never be like them. So I hope she makes it, because I'd like to have her around to do battle politically. I can't stand everything she says and does, but I will never be like them. They would celebrate your death. They would celebrate you getting bad news. They're sick people.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It is 35 minutes past the hour. My name is Harry Hurley. I have 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. LaQuetta Small, court date unrelated to child abuse criminal charges. Wow. What a loser. Lou's Restaurant, a Ventnor, and this great sandwich is back. Check it out. It's a great story. And the Atlantic City mayor shopped with an Atlantic City police officer. Oh, my.
Good morning. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're looking at a pretty nice day across South Jersey today. Partly to mostly sunny with a high about 77. Tonight, partly cloudy and 63. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high of 78. A good chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow night into Thursday. And your first peak of the weekend looks like this. Pretty nice weather both Saturday and Sunday with highs both days in the upper 70s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. Enjoy your day. I'm Joe.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. For complete contest rules, visit WPGTalkRadio.com. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
Honesty and transparency, it's not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. It's 40 minutes past the hour. As promised, and it's just going to be a brief comment because I'm sick of it. But as promised, such a difference between the way the media covers Trump versus the way they cover a Biden family member. Now, if that were a Trump son, but it never would be. But then again, who knows? I mean, they make stuff up now. This is as bad as it gets. I mean, they pick the person and then they invent the crime. I'm listening to these people like Terry Moron. He's from ABC, and these other people in the Democrat media, and they're blaming addiction and all these other things. Well, Trump didn't do any of those business records. That was proven that was other people that did all that. Well, they held Trump accountable like he was the accountant that did it. But Hunter's not responsible. You know what I want to see happen when this is all over and we have a new attorney general and the bad people in the Justice Department are fired and hopefully prosecuted? I want to see people like Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Juan Merchan, Anthony Fauci, James Comey. I could keep going. I have a list, a pet list. I want to see them all prosecuted. And you've never heard me talk like that. James Comey took classified documents. He admitted taking them, and he said he took them because he wanted to make sure that an independent counsel was appointed. He decided that he would commit a crime because he was so deranged that there needed to be an independent counsel, that he took information he wasn't entitled to take, and then he revealed that information to the public. He should have been criminally prosecuted. Hillary Clinton should have been criminally prosecuted for destruction of evidence, servers, taking pickaxes and bleach bit to digital devices, destroying documents and other equipment that was under a federal subpoena, congressional subpoena. Remember the FBI said, oh, yeah, just send us these things. They could have just got them right then. No, just send them. Oh, you never got them? Oh, we sent them. I mean, this is, they let people stay while they did interviews. It is maddening what the other side gets away with and how they're treated. President Trump said, quote, Supreme Court must decide New York case. I couldn't agree more. And I know how they would decide, and it wouldn't be favoritism. This is an abomination, what was done here. Former President Donald Trump has called on the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene in his New York criminal trial before scheduled sentencing on July 11th. Now, keep in mind, you don't get them to intervene by making a speech. We hear that Trump wants us to get involved. Yes, we're involved now. You got to go to them. So either get a lawyer or whatever. I think I agree with Dershowitz. Don't use the lawyers. And look, I thought his lawyer was fine. Some people don't. Some people think that the guy did a lousy job. But you don't have the people that lost your case do the appeal because they have the bias of how they did the case. You want a fresh set of eyes. I would ask Dershowitz to do it. Some are saying it would be like a Hail Mary, but I'm not so sure about that, because I think the Supreme Court intervening and stopping Juan Merchan from sentencing the president would be a very good thing to do. They should say, you can sentence him on November 6th or after, but you cannot sentence him prior to November 5th. Quote, the sentencing for not having done anything wrong will be conveniently for the fascists. 4 days before the Republican National Convention, Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, a radical left Soros-backed DA who ran on a platform of I will get Trump, reporting to an acting local judge appointed by the Democrats who is highly conflicted, will make a decision which will determine the future of our nation. The United States Supreme Court must decide. I think he's absolutely correct on that. Quote, Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee in this year's general election, has vowed to appeal his conviction. He and his allies have focused on the alleged partisanship displayed by District Attorney Alvin Bragg and Judge Juan Merchan. So I will say this. It's my understanding you can't appeal until after sentencing if you were appealing to the appellate court in New York. I think you could appeal directly to the United States. Now, some people use the analogy, they equate this to Bush v. Gore in 2000. And that's not a bad analogy. It was a federal election, and you have here that they made up some federal thing in order to have this case in a state court to begin with. And in Florida, you did have the Florida state courts. Remember Judge Sanders Sauls? How do I remember that? Oh, my God. I can't even believe it. That's 24 years ago, almost 25 years ago. Judge Sanders Sauls, he did the right thing. It was the Florida Supreme Court that caused all the mischief. Remember, Democrats, every vote must count, and we must count every vote, but they only wanted votes counted in Miami-Dade, rather, Broward, and Palm Beach, who David Boies used to call Palm Beach. Hi, I'm David Boies. I speak normal in every word except I say Palm Beach instead of Palm Beach. Remember him? God, remember that bug-eyed guy with the magnifying glass? Chad Band, remember him? They had this picture of him with his big eye because it was the lens of the camera through the magnifying glass. Whew. But I'll tell you what, Florida fixed their election system. I really believe this. If every state did their elections the way that Florida does, Trump would have won the 2020 election. How can you say that? He didn't. I just said it. I said it. I meant it. I'm here to represent it. That's it for me for cheerleading. Cheerleading dad here. I said it, and I absolutely did mean it. They purposely, and I told you in real time, I said, look at these Democrats go. They got all these people, Soros-backed secretaries of state, people like that Katie, whatever her name is, in Arizona. Now she's the governor. It's disgusting. She was Secretary of State, ran the election while she was running. No, Democrats never have a conflict of interest. Wait a minute, lady. You're running. You can't act in that capacity. You've got to give that to a deputy or do something. They'll cheat for you. Don't worry. Just get somebody you trust. You may at least make it look like you're trying. I remember saying, wow, look what they did in Pennsylvania. They went right past the legislatures, right in the Pennsylvania Constitution that can't be changed without the legislature. They just went and changed it, and it stayed. And they did this in battleground states. Arizona, Pennsylvania. They did it in battleground states all over the country. Told everybody in real time that Trump could lose this because Democrats, they're not about getting the most votes. They are about putting into the election the most ballots. That's how they've done it for quite a while now. Let's see if by November 5th, even sooner, because we'll know how the early voting and the vote by mail and all that will be going. Let's see. Hey, look, Atlantic County, Republicans beat the Democrats in the early voting. It was one of the most encouraging things that I've ever seen. I couldn't have been more proud because that is something where Republicans had been losing election after election after election and then hoping that they win by big enough on Election Day to win the thing. And sometimes that would happen. And guess what? Sometimes it didn't happen. We'll be back. Don't go away. It is the Hurley in the Morning program. Gosh, it's 9 minutes before the top of the hour. I said Katie, whatever her name is, and Bob Progner wrote me Katie Hobbs. Thank you, Bob. I don't want to remember certain people's names. It's Harry Hurley. Join my friends at United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City for their 13th annual Father's Day Classic Car Show. It's Saturday, June 15th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And on Tuesday, June 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, there's a free memory screening event. If you're considering senior living options for yourself or a loved one, I recommend United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City. It's fully remodeled with private apartments, 2 restaurants, a bistro, an on-site fitness center, and just 3 short blocks from the Ocean City Boardwalk and Beach. The Shores is proud to present insightful and fun events for our community. Don't miss the Father's Day Classic Car Show, Saturday, June 15th, from 9 to 1, and a free memory screening event open to the public on Tuesday, June 18th, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon at the Shores, 2201 Bay Avenue in Ocean City, 2201 Bay Avenue in Ocean City. RSVP for the memory event. You don't have to for the car show, but for the memory event, call Michelle at 609-399-8505. That's 609-399-8505.
Hurley in the Morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5, and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
I may put a request in for that to say something like established, reputable, just genuinely awesome. You know, it's just maybe just a few more. I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it a lot, but maybe a couple more, platitudes. Just awesome guy. Clutch hitter. Hey, I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but for some reason, and there's got to be a reason, because nothing in artificial intelligence, when you look at a pair of sneakers or you look at a kitchen spatula and you don't pull the trigger and get it, that spatula follows you around for the rest of your life. So it's got to be for a reason I don't know. Greg Luzinski, Philly great. Facebook doesn't want me to be his friend. Facebook wants me to be the friend of his wife. Jean, Jean. Incessantly, I get asked to friend Jean Luzinski. I have met Bull Luzinski, but he does not know me. We're not friends. We're not acquaintances. I'd like to be. He's a nice guy, and he has a great Bull's barbecue pit. I don't know if he still has it, but he had that at the at Citizens Bank Park, and it was very similar to Boog's barbecue pit in Camden Yards. So for whatever reason, and I haven't bothered to find out why, see, I'm maxed out. I couldn't send the friend request. They make it very easy. I could just hit a button. Here's the other funny thing. I don't know about you. I don't really send out friend requests. I have 5,000 friends. That's all you're allowed to have. And I don't know if I could even count a handful that I actually sent the friend request out to try to make it happen. Mine are pretty much me responding, and that's always, I think, a pretty good way. If somebody has to be your friend, then I have no problem, saying yes, unless I have a problem with a particular individual, and it's not many people. But yeah, Facebook wants me to be Gene Luzinski's friend in a very, very, very big way. I mean, I've been getting this, I think it's years now. The reason I brought it up is I was looking during the break, and there it was. Kirk Conover joins the program next.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back. It's not even 6 minutes past the hour. Let's get on with this. Kirk Conover is here, our former New Jersey Assemblyman, former Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders member, former chairman of the Atlantic County Board of Chosen Freeholders, a former clammer in the Atlantic City clamming industry, former owner, proprietor of Absecon Video. Let's see, what have I left out? Of course, wonderful operator of Shore Agency with Nancy. And I'm sure I've left out a thing or two along the way. A very, very good basketball player in the Brigantine Basketball League that I used to officiate. Kirk, welcome.
That's a lot of formers.
I know. All around great guy. Kirk, let's start with this. And I'm incensed about this. Joe Biden trashed working policies in favor of an agenda that was to completely wide open the borders of our country, to let in millions, untold millions. They admit to 6 million. It's probably more like double that. 12 to 15 million is my story. There's an untold number of gotaways that they haven't been seen or, anything done with any of them. And, of course, even the people they let in, they're not testing anyone for any diseases or anything. And then they spread them all over the country. The billions of dollars that they have taxed our social services. And now we're going to hear about Joe Biden today signing an executive order to finally do something about this. And even what he's going to do. Close it, having a line of 2,500 people and you just let them all in? And then as of tomorrow, 2,500 more can come in? So it's just maybe delays your entry into the country one day or something? Kirk, this is sick.
It's a complete, unmitigated disaster for the American society. And, it's all based on getting future Democratic votes and providing cheap labor for their...
and he's going to want credit, though, Kirk. He's going to be able to say, and it's no coincidence that this debate is on the 27th of this month, he will say, I took action. I took decisive action on immigration in our country. I just want Trump to eviscerate him with this stuff, Kirk.
Well, he ought to be able to. I mean, the first day in office, you saw in full bloom policy by spite. And it was everything Trump did had to be undone. The border and, the energy industry forefront on all fronts. But he did, 80-some executive orders that first day in office.
Yep. By the way, though, Kirk, I do agree with the point. But on the immigration ledger, it's even more than that. It wasn't just Trump did it, so it's got to be wrong, and I got to do the exact opposite. This was a plan of the radical Democrats to let illegals into this country that they believe would be loyal to the Democrat Party, would be just automatic Democrat votes, and all part of the Democrat majority project.
Oh, yeah. And it's a plan that goes back 20-some years when California, authorized driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. And, once you get a driver's license, then it's much easier to scam the system and become basically an illegal voter.
And as you know, they all changed the laws after the fact, that the moment you are a licensed driver, you're automatically a voter. And then they have this bizarro world policy. Oh, they know they can't vote. They have to self-report. So it's not a problem. Well, why do you make that automatic voter registration then? So, Kirk, I almost in a backhanded sort of way, and it's sick what I'm about to say, I almost have to give them credit for what they do and what they get away with.
Well, they're following Saul Alinsky's rule book, Rules for Radicals, and creating chaos. And then when you create chaos, then you can say, well, the government's going to solve your problem. And, this is, you see it. The border is chaos. The fact that these people are overwhelming the social services in so many cities and areas of the country, that creates chaos. So, yeah, it's a well-orchestrated plan, decades in the making. And I am just, like you, enraged that this cadaver of a president can actually, come out today and say he's going to do something. I mean, it's too late, Joe. But they got enough of their plan enacted. And the other insidious part of it is the fact that all these unknown, I think, radical terrorists that are going across the border, that'll be activated, like in the Charles Bronson movie Telephone, they'll be activated, by a phone call, and all of a sudden there's going to be bad actors doing bad things. Because
Manchurian Candidate's another good example. You get a phone call and they tell you something, and bam, you're activated.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if everybody was from Mexico or everybody was from Central America, but that's not the case. These Chinese nationals are dangerous coming in. You don't get out of communist China without permission. So there's a plan there by China to exploit this whole thing. So there's so many insidious and bad effects of it, let alone just some of the overall what it's doing to the labor market. You've got, hordes of these illegal immigrants. They stand around at Home Depots and try to get day work from contractors.
Possibly park in handicap parking spots too at Home Depots. Oops.
I saw a good one yesterday. There's a handicap parking spot at a house in our neighborhood, and someone parked there. I guess they were oblivious to what's going on, and boom, man, the tow truck was there, towed the car away, and then I saw the young woman come out, and she's going, "They stole my car! They stole my car!" And then the lady that lived next door goes, "No, honey, they towed your car."
I love it. And what people have to understand, I mean, I think that Laquetta Small's taxpayer-provided vehicle should have been towed. And what remains to be seen is if there is, I'm not saying there is because I don't know, but I do know she parked there because I have the video and I have still photography evidence. And she blocked 2 spots. But if it can be confirmed that there was either the use or misuse of a disability placard, then NJSA 2C21-4A, a 4th-degree crime, comes into effect. So it remains to be seen. But, it is amazing. I know the way you live your life, Kirk, and you know me. We would never park in a handicapped spot. I would never do it, ever. I've never done it. And I hope to never do it, but I would never do it illegally.
Well, yeah, it's disrespectful, and I see it every day. We have a handicap spot right in front of the door of the shore agency, and people pull in there probably one car an hour and park in that spot to get Rita's water ice.
That is terrible. You know what's interesting, and I don't know if you agree with this statement. I'm not just saying it about Laquetta Small, who I think is a lowlife, but I would say it about anybody. Anybody that is not disabled that parks in a handicapped spot, I believe that is all you need to know about that individual, that is disqualifying in the whole game of life. That means you're a lowlife, a dirtball, whatever you want to call someone like that. It shows your character or lack of anybody that would do that. I'm not just saying it about Laquetta Small if she did it. And why am I saying if? I have the pictures. She did do it, but it's alleged, and she'll go to court on July 15th. It's a busy day. They have a court date for child abuse, a court date for illegal parking allegations in a handicap spot. But Kirk, not even making you come involved with Laquetta Small, would you agree with that comment that a person that is able-bodied, not disabled, that would park in a handicapped spot, that shows your lack of character?
Well, it's certainly disrespectful. I have a phrase for people that, like in our parking lot in FC, not only is it that they park in the handicap spot, but they park right in the middle of the driveway, hop out to get their Rita's water ice. They park crooked, take up two spots. I have a phrase for it. It's called, it's their world, and we're just passing through.
I like that. Kirk, hold on. Don't go away. I like that. That's good. Yeah, that I call it self-absorbed, self-indulgent. But I like that. I like how you said that. We'll be right back with Kirk Conover. I am Hurley in the Morning on the station that plays the winners.
Hurley in the Morning.
They really do separate fact from fiction.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Waking up on the right side. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
Never mind the illegal gag order in this case. Never mind the novel, jury instructions. Well, you can all think he's guilty, but you can have different reasons for thinking he's guilty and vote for one of three reasons. And if it breaks down 4 guilty for reason A, 4 guilty for reason B, 4 guilty for reason C, it works. These are all avenues of appeal. And then we've got a July 15th date for the Republican convention, and the judge wants the sentencing to be on July 11th. Oh, okay. Well, let's take Donald Trump out of the game for his own convention. Let's put him in jail for 30 days or 60 days, or we're going to take him off the campaign trail for the entire campaign.
From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
Hey, ready to give your home a summer makeover without breaking the bank? Our friends at Blinds.com, they have you covered with huge summer savings on premium customizable window treatments. I love Blinds.com. They invented the better way to shop for energy-saving blinds and shutters. I love my motorized options. You'll love them too. And even cooling outdoor shades, all online. Blinds.com, they give you free professional design experts that can help make a minor project like updating your window treatments have a major impact on your home's decor. They also send you free samples, and plus you get unlimited window treatments installed, whether it's 1 window or 50 windows for one low cost. And as always, Blinds.com has their 100% satisfaction guarantee, 100%. And if you shop at Blinds.com right now, you get huge summer savings up to 40% off site-wide. That's up to 40% off site-wide for a limited time when you go to Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Enable our skill and tell your smart speaker, play WPG. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
We need to just listen to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 21 minutes past the hour. Hurley in the Morning with Kirk Conover. Chuck Malamut coming up in about 45 minutes. And we have Michael Harrison in a command performance, the founder and the publisher of Talkers Magazine, on the eve of the 27th consecutive Talkers Conference in New York. It is the most elaborate, it is the most definitive conference in our industry in history. It's an incredible happening. And the attendance is literally a who's who. It's incredible. We are visiting, as I mentioned, with Kirk Conover. Kirk, I want to mention little Anthony Fauci, another individual that disgusts me at so many levels. He still won't admit all the things that he did wrong.
Got to listen to a little bit of it, and it reminds me of another former. I'm a former pitcher.
That's true. I got to remember that for next intro.
And he threw a 45-degree first pitch that...
Kirk, you know that's one of my favorites of all time because the human elbow, the arm, I don't know how he threw the ball in that direction.
Well, that should be something studied by the CDC, I guess.
He's got to be double jointed. I mean, something was. Ladies and gentlemen, please Google. He was at Washington Stadium, whatever it's called, and he's in his Fauci jersey, COVID-19, number 19, and he threw a ball sideways. He threw a ball directly to his left, which would be what on the clock? It would be like the number 9 on the clock. He threw it directly sideways. I've never seen a human being accomplish what he did.
Well, that was the best screwball ever thrown, I
guess. He threw it between home plate and first base, dead in the middle. It's impossible. The arm doesn't move that way. His did.
But, I got to listen to about 10 or 15 minutes of him going back and forth. And, of course, the Democrat lawmakers were in lockstep. Oh, he's the greatest thing. And
you were owed an apology. I'm telling you, it was like Robert Duvall in Godfather 2. You're owed an apology. You're owed an apology. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah, and he was a very convincing misinformation agent. He sounded so sincere, and we didn't really know at that time.
But now we find out, Kirk, 6 feet, social distancing. There was no science. They made it up. He just lied about everything. Now he's lying about lying. And
I understand that when the whole thing hit and people were sick and dying, that there was a rush to try to do something. I understand the instinct, but after you do it, and you shut down the country for like 2 months, you ruin people's lives, you disrupt young people's education.
Remember, Kirk, it was 2 weeks. All we're asking is for 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Yeah.
That's what they said.
And the blue state governors all fell in lockstep, ignoring the fact that the country of Sweden had a determinative policy of doing nothing. And they never shut anything down. They didn't make people wear masks or anything. And they had the lowest infection rate and death rate in the whole world because they let the virus take its course. And
herd immunity, that kind of thing?
Yeah. And it soon, petered out.
So whoever was going to die was going to die. And what we wound up doing was prolonging it for years.
Yeah. And the miscalculation of putting, in New York State, putting the people in nursing homes.
With no ventilation and, a disease that actually spreads, aerosol. I mean, just breathing, it spreads. That actually, and that continued even after they knew that it was wrong. That should have had certain people like Andrew Cuomo and others, some say Governor Murphy, that should have had certain people criminally charged, what they did.
Yeah, and the idea of putting people on ventilators was fatal too, because that knocked out, that atrophied the whole, human ventilation system, your lungs.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I forget, I used to know it at one point. something like 78% of the people that went on ventilators died. It was a death sentence if they put you on a ventilator.
Yeah. And then, of course, the segment I listened to was the segment where he talked about the social distancing. He said we had to try something. And then one of the Republican congressmen was saying, well, what was the science behind it? And he goes, well, to keep away from people. Well, that's not really science. That's
Kirk, the most meaningful piece of the whole thing, there are a couple things that struck me. And I didn't watch it all, but I watched a lot of it, unfortunately. The doctor who spoke, and I forget his name, he was very powerful. He was not a member of Congress during the pandemic. He ran because of what they did. And they tried to cancel him and take his job and take his license. He was treating thousands of patients. And he was trying, different approaches that were working, and anything he said that was counter to the Fauci line, he got crushed. That was very meaningful to me. And also Fauci, in his own words, I don't recall how it was taped, Kirk, but it's undoubtedly authentic. And Fauci was talking about how you crush people. It was disgusting what he was saying.
Yeah, and that went on with a lot of the doctors, that the frontline doctors of America. They were advocating treatment as opposed to like these quarantines and shutdowns. And they got run off the steps of the Lincoln Memorial right in the middle of their press conference.
Oh, yeah,
and
terrible.
These were people that were successfully treating people with ivermectin, with the
hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, and the
monoclonal antibodies.
Yes.
Come on, man. Between the two of us, we're going to get it done. And by the way, Bob Progner, third man in the broadcast booth, sent me McCormick. That was the doctor's name. So we're all helping everybody. I couldn't think of McCormick's name. But yeah. they and incidentally, what's his name? What's Cuomo's brother's name? Andrew Cuomo? Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo actually came clean over the past couple of months. And himself, he started taking something that he was trashing during the pandemic itself.
Yep. And, the in hindsight and what we're learning is that the vaccines never prevented people from getting infected. And he was trying to explain, he says, yeah, and that's because it worked for a short period of time and then its effect faded. But we're learning about all these young people that now have heart conditions from the vaccines. And he was advocating that, children under 5 years old get vaccinated. I mean, this was all dangerous stuff in the sense that vaccines typically take 5 to 7 years to get to the point where you can say that they're safe. And this was rushed out there. And it was,
hence name Warp Speed.
Yeah.
I remember saying very early on that, gosh, I hope in 3, 5, 7 years, we're not saying, hey, if you took the COVID-19 vaccine back in the year 2020, call 1-800-RAN-SPEAR, the injury lawyer, because I do believe, now, I think some of them were safer than others, but I believe that those vaccines really messed some people up.
Yep. And he was defending it. He was saying, well, we had to do it, and they were effective, but they didn't last. And he was so convincing, his tone of voice and the modulation which he spoke with, which is typical of, what I call a misinformation agent. And it was just a shame they had to go back and forth between the Democrat and
Kirk, that's how they do it. You get the truth for a few minutes, and then the Democrat comes on and lies and apologizes for the truth, and then says you should be given an apology, how you've been treated, and they rehabilitate. Then somebody gives it to him, and then he gets rehabilitated. I will tell you this, and I've got to run for the break, Kirk. We have to. And let's talk about it after the break so we're not compressed. I I don't know if you're going to agree with this or disagree with this, but I'm starting to believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene is becoming a liability. And you know me, I have a lot of respect for straight talk. But even yesterday, I think she gave the people like Kwesi Mfume and, some of the other people, that Raskin guy, Jamie Raskin, and a few others, I think she gave them the ability to make it seem like Republicans can't govern. And that look at that, what this person said. And I want to get your take on that when we come back. I'm not totally down on her, but she's wearing thin on me. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Kirk Conover. I am Hurley in the Morning.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It is Harry and Kirk at 33 minutes past the hour. I have 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. LaQuetta Small court date unrelated to her child abuse criminal charges and that of her husband Marty. Lou's Restaurant of Ventnor, iconic and a great sandwich, is back. Check it out. Oh my God, you're going to want one. It's delicious and it's available. And the Atlantic City mayor shops with an Atlantic City police officer. Oh my.
Well, good morning. With your South Jersey weather, I'm Joe Kelly. We're looking at a partly to mostly sunny day today. Should be pretty nice. High temperature about 77. Tonight, partly cloudy and 63. Tomorrow, mostly clouds. A high temperature tomorrow about 78. Looks like some showers and thunderstorms, a good possibility tomorrow night into Thursday. And your first peek into the weekend looks like this. Looks like we're going to have pretty nice weather both Saturday and Sunday. Highs both days in the upper 70s. That's your South Jersey weather.
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the Morning.
Makes me think about things a little bit differently.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
I just listened to Fauci, and I thought I taped it, but I can't explain it. I hit the button. I feel like Fred Nichols. I pushed I pushed the button, but I didn't record it. That's a joke from a long time ago. I asked Fred if he played the tape at a meeting. He said, I didn't play the tape. I pushed the button. It was a legendary promo on the Hurley in the Morning program, and we became the best of friends. Kirk, Fauci just said it, and I thought I had it, but I don't. He said it was even worse than I remembered yesterday. It got like a gangster talking about how you basically crush people and they change their ideology very quickly when basically you take their job. And this guy was a little gangster, Kirk.
It's disgraceful. And, those emails outlined, I think.
What emails? They say no emails. They say, what are you talking about? I mean, they lie about everything, Kirk. When Fauci got asked about this, and this, he would say, you don't have any evidence. You don't have any proof.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed, and the Republicans actually asked questions. There was one Republican that had, I want yes or no, and he was doing a lightning round of questions. And then the Democrats would bloviate for 4.5 minutes, ask one question, and then continue to bloviate. It was a disgrace, and Fauci's answers were disgraceful. It was a big cover-up. And like I said, he was a very convincing, if you just listen to it on the surface, like you're riding in your car and listen to it on the radio, you go, yeah, okay, I can see that. I mean, because he is very convincing.
Well, they made unreasonable seem reasonable.
Yeah.
And there's a talent to that. It's twisted and sick, but there's a talent to that. Moving on, President Trump and the RNC raised just about $300 million in May alone. Trump, $141 million just himself, his campaign. Then you have Miriam Adelson, $100 million, and some of the other money that's going to the RNC or to super PACs, almost $300 million by comparison. Joe Biden and the DNC raised $127 million for March and April combined. Don't have their May number yet. But that is pretty. I mean, Trump is going to have raised more in May than Biden did in March, April, and May, and by a lot.
Well, he's done it over, 4 days since the kangaroo court.
57 million in the first 24 hours, over 100 million in 48 hours, and something like 141 million in 3 days. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah, Judge Merchan, he's the best fundraiser we have. It was amazing to see it. It's basically supercharged Trump's campaign. I think it guarantees him he's going to win. I think he's going to win in a big landslide. It's just a question of what devious, mischievous move are the Democrats going to make next.
Well, the next will be Merchan's sentencing, because I think he's going to be artiste. He's not going to jail President Trump. You might hear something like, I sentence you to 2 years, I sentence you to 3 years, but he will not. He will stay that. I don't think he'll discharge it, which is what he should do. I don't think he will do that, because he'll say that, there are 34 count indictment, conviction, there has to be a penalty. And I think what he tries to get away with is, as much as he can, they would not give Trump the ability to do an expedited appeal, because they want this to all stick through the election, calling him convicted felon, which President Biden did last night at a Democrat fundraising event where Biden showed his true ugly self. Kirk, this Joe Biden is a horrifically bad person. He is nasty and just as bad as they get. Everything about him has always been dirty. Everything. Plagiarism, falsifying his educational credentials, stealing another person's life story. I could go on and on and on. He's always been. It's not just that he has mental acuity problems now. He has always been this bad Joe Biden. But this is what they wanted. And they're laughing about it, Kirk. Well, they did in the courtroom. The Democrat media erupted in laughter when Trump was convicted. This is how sick they are.
Yeah, welcome to the Banana Republic. We just fell in line with Colombia, Peru, and Brazil.
Now, here's the thing, Kirk. I wouldn't laugh if I'm saying when, but I don't trust anything. I mean, Kirk, Trump's trial is in New York City. 90%, disapproval rating for Trump. Biden's trial is in Delaware. As I always say, there are no coincidences. This is a very different situation. So I'm not even sure that Hunter Biden they have him absolutely convicted. I mean, I looked at some of the laptop. They have naked photos of him with the gun in his hand. But I don't count anything as a sure thing anymore. He could be found not guilty. And I remind people, who was the guy with the beard, the special counsel that was doing a couple of trials and a lot of investigating? Do you know who I mean? He had he had a Fu Manchu beard. I can't.
From Connecticut, right?
Yeah, I can't think of his name. Bob Prognor, he is my hero today.
He'll come up with it.
Yeah, we're on a delay, so it'll be a moment, but he'll send it. Anyhow, I can't think of his name, but he had people that were...
Durham.
That's right, because I used to do memory association. I called him Bull Durham. Yeah, John Durham. So, okay.
Yeah, we waited forever for his
for nothing.
Report. For nothing.
But there is a point I'm trying to make, though. He did bring several cases to court. He got one attorney to plead guilty. If the attorney would have known how this whole game was being played, he never should have pled guilty, because he would have been exonerated too. Anybody that Durham took to court got acquitted. They were guilty as hell. It didn't matter.
And the state of Delaware is a little fiefdom. It's I heard one analysts talk about it. It was like a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And the Biden family has a lot of power in Delaware. Oh, it's been cultivated over his whole 50-year career.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is Hunter might be acquitted, but here's my point, though. He should be convicted. It's not even close. He is guilty as hell, but he might not be convicted. But if he is convicted, Kirk, I would never laugh about that.
No, it's a serious deal. I mean, you know, and he was lying on that gun permit application, but that's his excuse. I was in the throes of addiction. You know, they're going to do the hearts and flowers defense.
Well, they always have it both ways, though, Kirk. They always say that, but then they say, like they were arguing in court at the same time, you can't let the laptop be revealed, and here are the reasons why. And then they would not even admit that the laptop was his. They're always on both sides of the action. Yeah,
and the 51 so-called intelligence people that signed that letter saying it was Russian disinformation. Where's the prosecution on their...
I meant to include them on my earlier list, Kirk, of the people that should be prosecuted when I mentioned Hillary and all the other people, all 51 of them, because if you want to talk about election interference, they did that on the day of the debate. On the very same day, Joe Biden got to go into that debate and call Trump a liar. And he quoted the 51 experts and CIA directors and these people that, you know, are professionals. And this is Russian disinformation. They, just like with Hillary, they all knew the truth and they lied. And they called those who told the truth liars. Remember, if you even wrote on your social media about that laptop or about any of those issues, you got deplatformed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Facebook, and they were all in on it. You know, the mass media, the social media, they were all in on it. They were all in on the fix. And, you know, when you see numbers change at 2 o'clock in the morning from 600,000 in favor of Trump to 200,000 in favor of Biden, like happened in Pennsylvania, the fix was in.
Well, that was my nightmare every day because the numbers changed right when I would arrive to Broadcast Center, and it was just remarkable. They were changing by hundreds of thousands of votes in the 2 o'clock hour. It was maddening.
Yeah. And, you know, he's being prosecuted for that, election interference. Come on.
Nope.
It's such a horrible precedent, and it's a bad road we're going down, and it probably is the canary in the coal mine that this is the start. If we allow the Democrats and the left-wing loons to continually run this country, it is the symbol, a sign that this is the beginning of the decline of the American civilization.
There's no question. And that was my take earlier in my 6 o'clock hour monologue. When we come back, much more with Kirk Conover. My story is this. This November 5th election is going to decide what kind of America do we want to be. It's very simple. One that is free, or one that we are suffocated and oppressed by a central authority, because that's the government that Biden wants. Biden, when Fauci is talking, I wish I could play the audio, but I blew it. I hit the record button, but it didn't record. It didn't start. Then when I thought I was stopping the recording, it started to record. So anyhow, you would have had Fauci showing you exactly the kind of America that we're going to be. If you want to get into that college, if you want to keep your job, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, you'll forget your ideology real quick. He is yelling, and he is just crazed with his dictatorial powers that he thought he possessed. And I guess he did. We'll be back. Don't go away with Kirk. I'm Harry.
The WPG Talk Radio app is everything South Jersey on your phone and in your car through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Local news, weather, and information updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Easy access to WPG podcasts and more. Powered by Smokers Haven. You'll find the finest selection of cigars at any of their 5 locations. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. Visit SmokersHavenNJ.com. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City,
Brigantine,
Mays Landing,
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
And let me add Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina. Kirk shared with me during the break they are the most moved to cities in America. And guess who would know? You know those things? I've rented it one time, and boy, they're nice. They are tight. They are dry during any type of bad weather. They're called pods, and I'm sure you've heard of them, and they're terrific. You can have them on your, in your driveway for a period of time or wherever, your backyard. Keep your stuff in there when it's time to move the stuff or whatever the case might be. Maybe you're even doing work or something and you got to clear out some stuff. They're really, really good. We had one fit right in the driveway. Very, very nice. And we were doing a big project of some kind, and it really worked out very, very well. So, Kirk, speak about that, because it's always, I think, interesting to see where are people moving from and where are people moving to?
Yeah, and like as you responded, it's no accident, and it's an illustration of, the last thing you said before we went to break is November 5th. The election is going to determine what kind of country we have, and in our ideal, you and me and other conservatives and free market people, our ideal is that there's, free market capitalism as your economic system. There's limited federal government, and that all equals individual liberty. And our founding fathers envisioned that model because they were influenced by the great first economist, Adam Smith, but they wanted a free market in states so that you could basically vote with your feet. And you see these movements to these red states like South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, because they have policies of freedom. They have fair taxation systems. Some of them have no income tax. Some of them have no sales tax. And the whole business climate is infinitely better than it is in states like New Jersey. So that's why you see the influx of people going into Myrtle Beach. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, after the 2008 financial crisis, a lot of proposed housing projects shut down. All you saw was, 2 model homes and weeds growing all over the place. And now... Hey,
Kirk, quick question. Is there any variance to what I'm about to say? I think this is a correct statement. People are moving from blue states and moving to red states. I'm not aware of any blue state that is experiencing people moving into the... Now, look, if your job changes, your company relocates, I'm not saying nobody moves, anywhere. But I think it is a correct statement that I said that people are migrating from places like New Jersey, New York. You pick California. My God, it's the worst there. And New Jersey's one of the worst. So that is a true statement, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's all due to economic conditions.
Yep.
And that's why we talk about net migration, because there are moves that you have to make due to, other circumstances. But left to their own volition, people move out of these oppressive blue states. California is the most moved out of state. New Jersey has the highest percentage of out-migration, followed by New York. And, that's all because of the population difference. But the whole thing is people want to be free. You were inherently created by the Lord with free will, and that's the way the world is supposed to work. And it gets back to the bigger point about the importance of the November 5th election. These Democrats want to federalize everything because they want to cancel out the ability of the American people to choose a red state, a free state to live in. They want to federalize all these different things that, and basically turn it into a collectivist, socialist economy. And we all know socialism fails because you remove the incentive for people to improve their lot in life. So it's very disturbing to see it. But
by the way, in 20 seconds, Kirk, because we have to go, Curtis Bashaw on the ballot today for the Senate seat for New Jersey. That's a very, very big deal. It's either going to be Curtis Bashaw or Glassner. So let's remind everybody that today is primary election day, and there are decisions on the ballot. It's not an automatic this time.
That's for sure. And I saw that Menendez is going to run as an independent. Good luck.
Which we predicted. Exactly. He'll find out exactly how unpopular he is. Kirk, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Harry.
Kelly.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
I thank you very much. 5 minutes past the hour. The following program is presented and sponsored by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck Malamut and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck Malamut, welcome to your program.
Good morning, Harry. Did you have a nice weekend?
Very nice. I'm in a mode right now where it's a very busy work time, so not as much off time as I would like, but yeah, we enjoyed it.
Weather seems to cooperate. It looks like, again, another good week and hopefully a great weekend, and it's hard to believe it's June. Time flies.
This is the third month of the second quarter. Important
day today, Harry.
Yes, it is.
June 4th was the birthday of Brother Bill. He would have been 67 years old today. Wow. 67 years young, I should say. So God bless him. Happy birthday, Bill. Hope all is well, and may you rest in peace.
He spent a lot of time right where you are right now, Chuck.
He did.
Literally right there. We have some nice pictures.
Harry. So anyway, I didn't want to let the day go by without your listeners knowing that.
I know you do. I mean, because I know how much you loved your brother, but I miss him incredibly. What just a good man. Never, I just always helping people, and just he did it the right way.
Yeah, I think, Kirk said it just so well in the last hour that it's all about, you look around and it's all about people. All they really care about for the most part is themselves, and it's a lot of self-absorbed people. And unfortunately, the younger generation seems to be more like that than we are. And Bill was just the opposite of that. As you know, Bill would give you the shirt off of his back, and miss him incredibly so. Think about him every day. And June 4th, never forget it, Harry.
That's right.
So,
Chuck, that was good. It was a great way to begin the program. Now it is your esteemed honor to share your market update.
So, Harry, stocks last week were a little choppy. The S&P was down about 0.5%. And again, the holiday shortened week, doesn't it seem when you come and do a shorter week that it actually seems longer? When you're off Monday and you work Tuesday through Friday and you say, my goodness, it seemed like I was there a long time.
You're my mentor, so I always want to say yes and agree with you because I always want to make you look good. Usually with me, it's just the opposite, because next thing you know, if you start your week on Tuesday, the next thing you know, it's midweek, it's Wednesday. I'm voting for the week goes faster.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's I guess in our world, it just seems that you're compressing, 4 days of work.
That's a good point.
Or 5 days of work into
That's
4. So I think there's something to be said about that.
That's true.
But in any case, like I said, the S&P was down 0.5% during the holiday shortened week. Volatility starting to pick up a little bit. We hadn't seen it for quite some time, Harry. The VIX, as it's referred to. The mega cap tech leaders that we oftentimes look at, that Magnificent Seven did show a little bit of weakness during the week. 5 of the Magnificent Seven stocks were actually traded lower for the week. Small caps did rally somewhat. Mid caps also had positive returns for the week. Seeing a little bit of rotation, Harry, out of technology into energy, real estate, and utilities during the week. So when you kind of, stir up that secret sauce, year to date, S&P up 11.3%. The Dow, clearly the laggard of the group, up 3.5% year to date. NASDAQ up about almost 12. International stocks up about 7.5%. The best performing sectors continue to be communication services, information technology, utilities that we discussed the last several weeks kind of snuck into third place, came pretty much out of nowhere. On the flip side, the only losing sector year to date happens to be real estate, consumer discretionary, and second spot it is slightly profitables, and same thing with healthcare. The 10-year Treasury, again, bonds this year, Harry, pretty much a repeat of last year, going at least into the fourth quarter. Bonds were flat for the week, but down 3.3% year to date.
Wow. Good update. Is the market in a rare territory?
Harry, I think we are. I mean, when it comes to, you think about when it comes to pullbacks in the market, we seem to be in some pretty rare territory right now. Pullbacks and volatility are pretty typical of the normal journey within the stock market. But we're almost at the halfway mark of 2024. We're sort of trading in what I'll describe as abnormal waters right now. With everything that's transpired so far this year, we've had 2 months of back-to-back higher than anticipated inflation readings. The Fed is not taking their foot off the pedal, so rates are, higher than we are normally accustomed to. The expectation, remember back in January, we're looking at 6 cuts, and now we're 0 and probably will be maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 0 before year end. Geopolitical tensions, you guys chatted about that last hour as well. I mean, you just can't seem to get out of your way. I mean, the 2 raging wars, one in the Middle East. You would assume that we would have a fair amount of setbacks, you look at everything that has happened here, Harry, but the stock market, year to date, we've only had a small and call a fleeting dip. I mean, the year to date, the largest pullback has been slightly over 5%. If you go back historically, as we always like to look at over the last 40 years, there have only been 4 years, 1993, 1995, 2017, and 21, in which the maximum intra-year pullback was smaller than what we're experiencing right now. So we're kind of in, I don't know if uncharted territory is the right word, but it's certainly, I mean, for investors, it's great news. For those that are waiting for that pullback, you had an opportunity in April. As we finish up, when you look at what has happened, during the month of May, is the old adage, sell in May and go away, really didn't work out. I mean, you think about, all the indices, winning month of May. The Dow was up 2.3% for the month. The S&P was up slightly under 5%. NASDAQ up about 6.9%, and that was the best gain that we had seen, Harry, in the NASDAQ. Actually all the markets back from November. So, the old, as I mentioned just a minute ago, sell in May and go away, and people would like take off for the summer. Didn't work so well this past month. May is historically a pretty weak month in the market, Harry. We had as I just mentioned, we had stellar performance. S&P best month that we've had, best May that we've had since 2009, Harry. So hopefully, I know you didn't go away.
No, I stayed.
You stayed, but a lot of people, I think, our clients, nobody left, so to speak, because of the old adage, sell in May and go away. Summer's coming. I mean, we know it. I mean, it's right around the corner. Rate cuts, probably unlikely to come anytime soon. Earnings season, is pretty much done. We only have a handful of stocks still to report for the second quarter. So stocks are going to need some sort of catalyst, Harry, as we get into the summer months.
When we come back, Chuck, we'll talk about the core PCE and much more straight ahead. For your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut, the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. We'll be right back. Chuck hit the mark. We're exactly at 15 minutes past the hour. Back in a few.
Hurley in the Morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the Morning.
They always have great conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. Chuck Malamut talking all about your financial matters on the Hurley in the Morning program. We teased right before the break, Chuck, U.S. core PCE. Has it met expectations? Has it not met expectations? Where are we?
So, Harry, the market breathed a sigh of relief on Friday, and actually ended up with a big day, especially in the Dow going into the weekend. So the preferred inflation measure that the Federal Reserve uses, it's called, the core personal consumption price deflator. That is clearly a mouthful. It did meet expectations. Prices were up 0.2%, Harry, month over month, and 2.8% year over year. And what they call super core inflation, that did moderate. So long story short, the combination of softer consumer spending and no nasty inflation surprises, helped bonds rally somewhat during the day. But the market did like the fact that the PCE, as it's referred to, did meet expectations. Remember you had commented just a couple weeks ago, well, Jesus, market makes big moves on 0.1% movements. And as it turned out, that was, not the case on Friday, and the market was very relieved as a result of that. One of your favorite topics, happens to be GDP.
Yes.
And
shocking announcement coming from Chuck Malamut. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an alert of the Hurley in the Morning program. Shocker coming.
So, Harry, U.S. GDP for the first quarter was revised down.
What a surprise.
I think if I rolled the tape back from last week, you did say that.
I did.
Consumer spending was less robust in the first quarter than what was initially reported.
By the way, in the past 3.5 years, Chuck, can you name an occasion? I think the answer is no, you cannot. But can you name an occasion where that has been revised upward?
Harry, I think, are you talking about GDP?
Yes.
I'm going to say, I'm not going to say in its entirety it has always been revised downward, because I know that there were some occasions, but fewer occasions were revising the number higher than lower. How's that for?
That's an intellectually honest answer from the best in the business.
Okay. So like I said, consumer spending, less robust in the first quarter than what was initially reported. And as a result, that took 0.3% from the growth rate, taking it down to 1.3% versus the initial reading of 1.6%. And, as it turns out, Harry, there was a bright note, as I just mentioned, that core PCE index, did move in the right direction. So, all is not lost, but do they take 3 or 4 swipes at this to get a final GDP number? How many revisions do they make?
There you go. There's only about 4 or 5 more moments of truth where these different reports these indices will be announced. I think they're going to be dishonest as they possibly can get away with, because they know they only have to do it a few more times. Seriously, before November 5th, it's just so bad. I don't trust any of it. Chuck, this I knew you would be talking about because I knew your agenda, and I made it a point to familiarize myself with the fact that OPEC members are set to maintain oil production costs, or cuts rather. So that's the jump-off point to where that stands at the moment. What do you have to say about oil?
So, Harry, as it turns out, the month of May was not kind, to oil. Brent, but which is good for the consumer. Now, Brent crude oil closed at $82 a barrel on Friday, has traded, down, since then. And what is happening? We're about 77 right now with Brent, as it's referred to. While you think about
why is the price still so high?
Well, you think about what happened was in the spring. There were a lot of analysts saying we're going through 100, and as it turns out, if you sort of do an inflation check on this, and this is, I think, a really good analysis to look at, Harry. Between May of 2019 and last Friday, Brent crude prices were up about 23%. But CPI had basically increased by the same amount. So as it turns out, in that $82 a barrel that we just mentioned a minute ago, is more like, as Kirk refers to, and you refer to, the new normal. It's really about $63 a barrel if you kind of look back on a comparison basis.
Then why isn't the price coming down then? $3.70 right now for regular unleaded, $4.20-ish for super unleaded. That doesn't sound like $63 a barrel to me.
No, so Harry, the price at the pump, here's what's very interesting. Nationally speaking, end of May, the price of a gallon of unleaded, $3.58. This was back in, just a couple days ago.
It's not what I paid.
A year ago, $3.57. But here's what
that's the national average.
That's the national average.
Yeah.
Now, what has happened since the end of December? Oil at the end of December did decrease. It was about $3.12 nationally, and now we are back to $3.58, where we were basically a year ago. But yeah, when you had that kind of big move with the price of Brent during the month of May, the expectations would be that it would get to the pump fairly quickly. And, just the opposite seems to be happening here. As oil moves up, the price of Brent, the price of unleaded moves up in tandem. It doesn't move down as quickly as the price of oil does on a day-to-day basis. At least that's what we're seeing right now.
Chuck, talk about rates.
Well, we kind of talked around this, Harry, and if you think about last week, we chatted about how, the last time the Fed met, the Powell seemed to be rather dovish, and the meeting minutes came out to be, pretty hawkish. So it looks like, we're hearing more people now, these analysts are saying there's going to be no rate cuts in 2024, Harry.
Good.
Inflation we talked about, the economy seems to be somewhat resilient, although it is starting to fray a little bit. Labor, the weekly jobless claims numbers seem to be holding their own. And Harry, we'll talk about this in a minute, big day on Friday. Not only you'll be at your talkers, but they do have the unemployment number that they'll report for the month of May. So, it looks like there's no discussion right now with respect to the reduction of interest rates. We did have that inflation scare earlier in the year, but I still think, look, I challenge anyone to tell me the price at the price of food is up 2.8% or 3%.
No, it's not.
It's just not there, because what's happening is, I think it started with Walmart and then followed up by Target, reducing either anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 items, a lot of perishables and a lot of food, but it's just
Chuck. This is not on our agenda, but let's go there, because I think you basically just brought it up. Are we in stagflation?
I think we are. I mean,
I do too.
We talked about this several months ago. I don't think anybody's going to bang the table and say that we're there, but it certainly feels like that, Harry. And
wow, Kirk just texted and he didn't. He's on delay, so he's going to think I mentioned stagflation because he just sent it to me. But you're my witness. Yeah. I said it before that phone dinged.
You did. So, and again, I think we're kind of stuck here with these rates. I mean, the Fed, very, very data dependent, Harry. We were, specifically inflation kind of still remains, uncomfortably stuck at that 3% number. And we talked about, remember when inflation was 9% and we said it was easy to get to 5%.
Yeah.
And it wasn't hard, and getting to 4 was a little more challenging. Getting to 3 is even more challenging. That it's going to be really tough to get to that 2% number. I'm not suggesting that the Fed needs to revise that number, but I think we're kind of in neutral right now, Harry, with respect to where we are.
We're going to come right back. Don't go away. If Chuck has more on U.S. Treasuries, he will talk about it next. What are they doing at the moment? And then a whole lot more. Straight ahead, more on Chuck Malamut Presents, all about your financial matters. For all of your financial planning needs, give Chuck a call at 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Exactly 30 minutes past the hour with Chuck Malamut, Harry Hurley, with 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. Laquetta Small has a court date that is unrelated to her child abuse criminal charges. So that's obviously a separate matter. Check it out. We have the details. Formerly Lou's Restaurant of Ventnor, this fantastic, great sandwich. I would call it like a Dagwood Bumpstead. It's tall. It's back. Check it out. And the Atlantic City mayor shops within Atlantic City.
Good morning. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're looking at a pretty nice day across South Jersey today. Partly to mostly sunny with a high about 77. Tonight, partly cloudy and 63. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high of 78. A good chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow night into Thursday. And your first peak of the weekend looks like this. Pretty nice weather both Saturday and Sunday with highs both days in the upper 70s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. Enjoy your day. I'm Joe.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
A very handsome voter just stopped in our studio. He's a handsome, happy voter. It is election day. It's primary election day. We continue with Chuck Malamut. He's talking all about your financial matters. And I mentioned U.S. Treasuries. What's going on?
There we go. Thank you, Harry. You're a little asleep at the switch.
No.
Okay.
I pushed it. It didn't light
That's
it.
All right. You're allowed one mistake a day.
It didn't light it.
Not bad.
Nobody would have known if you didn't bring it up. Go ahead.
Harry, I love you like a brother.
Thank you.
What can I tell you? So, Harry, listen. Over the last couple weeks, the 10-year did increase by about 0.25%, but it has since come back a little bit. And the move is, again, it's all about what the Fed's going to be doing. The probability, think about this just a week or two ago, was that a 50% likelihood of a September Fed rate cut. Right now, that's about a 99% chance.
Well, of course.
Of it.
September. 4 weeks before the election.
No. So anyway, let me back up. No, I said that wrong. It was 99% before. Now we're at 50% chance of a rate cut.
All right, we'll see.
So it's anybody's guess, but
not mine.
But what's happening with interest rates?
Remember, I've made it 100% on your show.
I
Guarantee
think you said
there will be one rate decrease prior to the election, which means it pretty much will be September because they wanted to have time to bake in. The latest they would do it would be October, but it will. I guarantee you, in either September or October, we will have a rate decrease, and they'll justify why, but it's going to happen.
Harry, are we either in or going into a recession?
No.
Neither one of the two?
No, not by the new normal.
Okay. So oftentimes there's a measurement where we look at yield spreads between corporate bonds and high-yield bonds. And right now, Harry, very, very tight. If we end up with an economic slowdown, which a lot of us do expect will happen here, it's going to produce some widening with the spread. And you do need some spread widening because why are you going to take on significant risk to get maybe 2, 3, 5 basis points more by buying a high yield piece of paper versus buying a traditional investment grade, corporate bond as an example?
There you go.
But
self-evident.
So what is happening as we continue to march onward and upward, or upward and onward, I guess. How does the expression go?
Onward and upward.
The fact that there continues to be a pretty wide differential here between the haves and the have-nots. When you think about it, high-end consumers, Harry, continue to be okay. Those on the low end and those in the mid-range, we'll call it, are really struggling right now. And it's unfortunate, and again, I think a lot of it goes back, Harry, to what we talk about with respect to these food prices. And you oftentimes, say, you have to make a choice. Do you put fuel in the car or do you eat? And it's, there's a lot of families that are really, really having a tough time right now as we, get into the summer months. But
we've had a point in time during the last 3.5 years where some families have skipped a meal. They've gone to eating twice a day instead of eating 3 times a day. This is very real.
No, it's very real. And then if you look at what's happening, in the school system, for instance, they provide meals, 2 meals a day.
And in some cases, it's the only meal that the child gets.
Right. So, the other thing that's happened, Harry, as far as the haves and the have-nots, if you look at the S&P 500, it's up, as we talked about earlier today, up over 10% year to date. But when you actually carve out and look at the individual stocks within that S&P 500, Harry, believe it or not, half of the stocks in the index are actually down.
Wow.
And I think it catches a lot of people by surprise.
So that means the growth is not broad?
It's not as broad as we need it to be. And it always, and as I go back to you, and I said to you before, are we in a recession?
You know why I give you that answer? Because we've changed the definition. We are. We are, but they changed the way that, we verbalize it. So that's why I said no. We are. There's no doubt in my mind. With very high inflation, we also are experiencing stagflation. It's pretty brutal. We can get one more in before our final break.
So let's talk about the unemployment for May.
Okay.
All right. So as it turns out, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, as it's referred to, 8:30 a.m. on Friday will report their employment data for the month of May. Economists' consensus estimate, Harry, is about 190,000 non-farm payroll jobs. All right. So higher than what it was printed the prior month. Anybody's guess as to what that number is going to be. If you remember, we just had some very, very wild swings, month over month over month. And
I kind of think they have it both ways. If it's blowout, They get to brag. It's, the Bidenomics is working. The economy's working. If it's lower than what they forecast, they can say, oh, it's all working. The Fed has put the brakes on, and so it's working. Either way, they say it's working.
Okay.
I'm not lying.
Well, we will see. That's for sure. I mean, I think the job print comes fairly close to that number in all indications.
Well, because they can make it whatever they want.
And the question is, what do they do with the revisions for the prior months? That's what it's all about.
Right back after the break. Don't go away. Much more. He's Chuck Malamut talking all about your financial matters. 609-383-2010 to reach Chuck and the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, located right down the street from Broadcast Center on Tilton Road, same side of the street as Broadcast Center, right here in Northfield. We'll be back. 609-383-2010, the number to reach Chuck. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing. Each State.
Ocean City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5, South Jersey's talk station. Wake up weekday mornings with Hurley in the morning.
This is the stuff we need to talk about.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. We continue at 46 minutes past the hour. It's Chuck Malamut appearing as he always does Tuesday mornings in the 8 o'clock hour for how many years, Chuck?
It'll be 32, right?
On what day?
July 2nd.
July 1st.
July 1st, sorry about
and
that.
we will meet on July 2nd, I think. Yes. Mm-hmm. Tuesday, July 2nd will be 32 years old and one day. I'm serious about this, and I do write it in my, if you're ever on the show, you get the day before at about 3:30 in the morning, you get an email from me, and it shows every guest that's on the program. And right in here, I always try to remember to write that, and I want to go right to my sheet to read it, that this is one of the most long-running weekly program segments in New Jersey history. Chuck, I gave a lot of thought to this. I know there may be a couple, mm-hmm. but this is very unusual. For a couple of reasons. Number one, the show has to have great longevity.
It does. And I was a
lot of people want to have it for.
I was driving the other day. Actually, I was with Frank, and we were passing through the south end of Ocean City on the way to an event. And I said, for a very, very short period of time, Harry used to work right across the street there.
It's true.
But that was just
Bay Avenue.
That's when you're on a leave of absence.
For 6 years. On Bay Avenue, I know, right where you were.
It was 6 years?
6 years.
Wow.
People can't believe it.
Time flies.
I know.
I thought it was more like 6 months. We got on the break and we talked about, are we in a recession? Are we going into recession? Are we near a recession? Have we been in a recession? I don't think that we have gotten into a recession or have been through a recession, and I'm not quite certain we're getting there. But
whoa! We were in a recession when we had 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP.
Right, but the definition was changed.
Well, come on.
But here's where I'm going.
So if we change now, I'll pick hockey because you're a great hockey manager. So if you win the game 3-2, you no longer win because we're changing the game. No. Chuck, we're changing the game that the team that got 2 goals wins the game.
Here's where I'm going with it. I just think
but you're not buying into the fact that they changed the definition, therefore we were not in a recession.
No, I think, Harry, what happened was...
Because I was going to have a seizure.
We have been through some very, very tough economic times. And as a result of that, I think we're still feeling that. And then where I was going with this is that, over the last 12 to 18 months, there's been a big push mm-hmm. on what they call this buy now, pay later.
Oh, yeah.
The consumers are stretched.
This because the people are tapped out. So they got tapped out, and now the idea is keep spending, and we'll front you. Pay now, buy now, pay later. You don't have to worry about it right now. Keep go.
So here's what happens with this buy now, pay later. It's the second most used form of credit card payment that we're seeing amongst U.S. consumers. It's consumers. Harry, obviously, it's become very, very popular. And I think this is what's a little disturbing here is that there are a number of consumers, Harry, that are using this payment structure to make ends meet. Americans owe, this is staggering, Harry, $17.5 trillion across credit cards, mortgages, auto loans, and other kinds of consumer debt. Okay, that's according to the Fed. Is that
a de facto resignation that our economy is now being run the way our federal government just
let me get there.
Go ahead.
Okay, about a little bit over $1 trillion, Harry, of that $17.5 trillion is on credit cards. And the buy now, the pay later, it's referred to the BNPL loans. This is what I think is a little disturbing. These loans do not appear on credit reports. Okay, so that creates what is known as phantom debt. That's not.
Remind me, are you talking about like a consumer loan? What type of loan doesn't show on a credit report?
You go you buy now, pay later. You buy something.
I gotcha.
That. And what happens is that does not show up on a credit report. So,
but if you took out like a peer-to-peer loan, that would show up.
College, your mortgage, your traditional credit card, whatever it may be. So, Harry, right now, this short-term financing, as it's referred to, it's the second most used form of credit payment amongst consumers in our country. Credit cards, obviously, traditional credit cards are the most common. But I think that's something that we need to be certainly aware of as we get into the next several months. The buy now, pay later. It's become so frequent and it's so easy, to go ahead and get that done. And I think consumers, unfortunately, don't really pay a lot of enough attention to this. And all of a sudden, it's sort of like the tax man cometh.
Yeah.
This debt needs to be paid.
It's a great point. Excellent point. Chuck Malamut for all of your financial planning needs, 609-383-2010. Great friend of the program, Charlie Falkenstein, texted me about 5 minutes ago. And he asked, what was the Dow Jones Industrial Average 32 years ago? So I went to the 100-year historical chart. The year 1992, the Dow closed, they call it average closing price, 3,284.08. The high for the year was 3,413.20. So we hit 40,000. Now it's backed off to 38-something now, but we hit 40,000 in our 32nd year. So to give you an idea, the Dow has more than tenfold.
It has, and I think what...
Good question, Charlie.
Great question. Good research. I think what we need to consider, Harry, there's a couple things. Particularly the Dow, and I'm not trashing the Dow in any way, shape, or form. 30 stocks. The measurement, I would really like, I think the S&P, there might be even better results, but I think you have to take into account inflation-adjusted numbers. I think that's very, very important along the way because it hasn't been a straight shot up. But what is interesting, and we oftentimes use this in client meetings and prospective client meetings, it's what we call a mountain chart, and what that chart does, Harry, goes back to 1970, I think it was. And you started with $10,000, and it shows sort of the increase in the valuation of that over time. But it's not moving straight up. It does, it's kind of like a jigsaw, up and down as the market moves in one direction or another. And along the way, there's all kinds of events that have happened, whether they're geopolitical, whether, it's just here within our country, whether it's overseas. And as a result of that, that's a consideration as well. What's very interesting, Harry, is the fact that.
By the way, I just want to say this: in 1915, it was 74.45. Well, I just wanted to share that 74.45.
And what was it when we had the Great Depression? It was. I mean, we were.
You want 1929? Is that what you're saying?
If you can, sure.
I can. I got 100 years. I want to keep this. It was 313.54.
But here's what I do want to tell you. And this is, as we talk about, there's a lot of smart analysts on the street. Most of them, since we've had a really good, first quarter and a not so great April, but a really good May, most of these analysts have increased their price targets, Harry, on the S&P 500. There's 13 that are really widely watched. 10 have increased their year-end target to about 52.20. That's pretty much where we are right now. We're at about 52.83 going into this morning.
Chuck, I want to ask you a serious question because I know inflation and all. When we go back not quite 100 years to more than 100 years to 1915, is 75 even a market?
Well, sure. I mean, think about what. The price of bread or the price of fuel or the price of electricity. I mean, it was pennies, compared to where we are now. So it's I know you're completely enamored by this. I can
Charlie
see you.
Got me going. I'm jazzed.
I think you should add this to your.
I'm nerding out. I'm geeking out on the Malamut show. Chuck, look at my chart, man. I love it. It's great. I got it all in my hands. Time is yours.
We certainly didn't have an iPhone back then.
No, we didn't.
So we didn't have the internet.
No.
But, let me...
Chuck, in the old days, I used to have to wait till the show was over and maybe hear from someone that had a question. Now everything is go. It's instant.
It's
like that would have been Charlie wanting to know what the Dow Jones Industrial Average was 32 years ago. He would have to call me after the show. And then we would talk about it. I gave him instant gratification.
I remember going to, I'm going to show my age now, or the maturity we'll call it, in the number of years in the business. How's that sound?
That was very good.
Okay.
Experience, not age.
Okay. Experience.
Come on, stick with me.
We used to have these large volumes of books.
Yeah, like lawyers.
And all the S&P 500 companies were followed. And you think each one had its own sheet.
Yep.
And it was the book, and it was called a tear sheet. You would literally tear, the company out, or the stock out of the book, and you would give to your client a tear sheet of an individual stock. Now, obviously, it's a whole lot different.
Well, you and I, in our hotel careers, we knew we were responsible on demand if somebody wanted a copy of the MSDS sheet. We would have to show them the book that we had in our office, and that would show them, hey, you were just working with this chemical. Here's what's in that product. We had to have that.
I remember.
Now it's all, very, very electronic and very different. But I'll tell you that the difference between instant gratification and the way that it used to be, I'm not 100% confident that it's better now than it used to be.
I'm not, Harry.
Anything that was important, you got to it. Now it's just go.
We could spend, and we're running short of time here.
Final minute.
If you look at the educational system that's currently in place, there's and the fact that you can basically get information instantly, through a number of sources, including obviously through your phone. I think that intuitive thinking, a lot of that has been sort of removed from, the younger generation.
I totally agree with you.
And not necessarily a good thing.
I totally agree. Let's end where we began, and that's with a comment about the late, great Bill Malamut. My good friend Eric said to please tell you, Chuck Malamut, that Billy went all through school with him, and they were on the basketball team together. Eric.
That's really great news. And there's a lot of stories of Bill in school. and because of
my story is that he was a stellar, scholastic, just giant amongst men.
He was a great student. There's no doubt about it, but there were a fair amount of shenanigans, and I'll just leave it at that, Harry.
He was very creative, and he could get through anything. There's no...
Hey, listen, thanks for having me.
Remember, Bill Malamut said he'll gauge a person by looking at the back seat of their car.
Have a wonderful end of your week. Friend. Have a good trip up in New York and a good conference.
Thank you. 609-383-2010 to reach Chuck. Mike.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame. You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you so very much. Welcome back. It's 5 minutes past the hour, and it is a pleasure to welcome back to the program a mentor of mine and obviously a great leader in our industry, Michael Harrison, who is the founder and the publisher of Talkers Magazine. And I'm really thrilled that, and we'll do it right after the first break, we're going to have a world debut of the latest Gun Hill Road music video project. We're going to play the entire song. I encourage you, and Michael will share the best place that you can go and see the new video music project, because I'm telling you, listening to it is going to be theater of the mind, and it's outstanding. The vocals are great. It's wonderfully done, but you have to just enjoy the phenomenal production of Matthew B. Harrison, the producer of this music video project, because it is really clean. It is great. So we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence. The name of the music video project of Gun Hill Road, their latest, is Artificial Intelligence, subtitled No Robots Were Injured in the Production of This Song. Lead vocals by Michael Harrison. Gun Hill Road examines the dangers of AI, and that is something that Michael and I have talked about before this song existed. We have been talking about AI for a number of years, actually, and now they have a dynamic new song and video to back it up. Gun Hill Road, the perennial band that has been creating multi-genre rock and pop music for more than 5 decades, consisting of band members, co-founding member, pianist, vocalist, and songwriter Steve Goldrich, longtime guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter Paul Reich, noted Broadway theater instrumentalist, guitarist, vocalist, and songwriter Brian Coonan, radio legend, I have to say that before I turn his mic on because he gets mad if I brag about him, radio legend, Talkers publisher, editor, and founder, and now publisher, and vocalist and lead vocalist on this particular item, and songwriter himself, Michael Harrison. And a note that I want to share, and I'm sure Michael would mention this if I didn't, Bebe Farber, who's the daughter of a late talk radio pioneer, and I know many in our audience that have been fans of talk radio know the name Barry Farber, a founder, pioneer, legend in our industry. Bebe Farber, who is a great vocalist, she makes a special guest vocal appearance on the new AI music video project. And again, I mentioned that the latest Gun Hill Road project is produced by the very talented Matthew B. Harrison. Michael, welcome to the Hurley in the Morning program.
Thank you, Harry, and thank you for that incredible introduction. You embarrassed me. I'm glad you didn't have my mic on because I was going, ooh.
I know. I know what to do.
It's nice to be with you. It's nice to be with you.
It is great to be with you. So tell us about the newest project, because not only is it a great song and a great video for our listeners to enjoy, but it really makes a really important point about artificial intelligence, which both you and I have been very real about. This is a two-edged sword. Artificial intelligence is cutting and will continue to cut both ways.
It will. It's a double-edged sword, and there's a funny line in the song. It says, "We'll never get bored." It's a double-edged sword, but we might lose our jobs and become obsolete slobs. And there's a degree of humor in all of this. And I wouldn't want anybody to think that we are Luddites, that we are anti-technology, because artificial intelligence could prove to be to the human brain what the wheel has proven to be to the foot.
Wow.
It can take us places we never imagined we could be. But there is tremendous danger. I do want to say that in my multimedia career that goes almost back to the days of Marconi, I have been blessed to work with some fabulous people and to do some amazing projects. Working with the guys in Gun Hill Road, who are brilliant individuals, seasoned gentlemen, and way more talented in music than I am, has been one of the most absolutely rewarding experiences of my career. And I can't believe how far we have gone together as we are developing a worldwide base of listeners and followers. And in this day and age, with the music industry being so disrupted by the democratized media, it's very hard to get traction on new songs. We are getting tremendous traction through airplay and attention by talk radio, because our subject matter is so pertinent to today's issues, and this takes it one step further. So thanks for the shout out to all the guys, and I just want to humbly express how great it's been to have an opportunity not only to be part of a music ensemble of this caliber. I mean, these guys are world class, among the best. And but to be able to have so many people interested in issues, hearing our messages through song, it's been a remarkable experience.
Michael,
as far as AI,
go ahead. Actually, don't go to AI yet. The reason I jumped in, I want our listeners to gain this perspective. How did you, Michael Harrison, become a band member of Gun Hill Road? And I know a lot of our listeners know Gun Hill Road, know them like we love them, grew up with back when my hair was short. They're catchy. They're great. They're great guys, too, as you know, and you mentioned. Really beautiful people. How did you get to be a band member?
Well, I was a disc jockey at WNEW-FM in New York, which is a legendary FM underground album rock station. Many of your listeners will remember it, because those who grew up in New York and cared about music, that station has left an indelible imprint on their history and culture. I was on the air there, and back in those days, we were not just disc jockeys, but we were musical gurus. We were aggregators. We were curators. We were teachers. And this band from New York, young fellows, same age as I was in my early 20s back then, these kids put together a band that was so clever and creative and musical that I wound up playing them and knowing them. And I've known them ever since. And they retired from music for a while, going on to other things, remaining musical, but doing other things. But they kept getting called back to do reunion concerts and oldies shows and all that. So they made a new album about 10 years ago called Every 40 Years, full of songs. And I helped them with it, and I wound up integrating into the creative process. And lo and behold, I became a member of the band. And now we focus not only on traditional music that is of every genre, but we also have specialized in songs that make a point about current issues. And this has just given this band an amazing, I don't want to say new life, because it's always been around, but it's given it an extra life. And that's how I became a member of the band.
We are visiting with Michael Harrison, founder and publisher of Talkers Magazine. It's the Bible of talk radio and the new talk media, and also, as you now know, and I think you knew it before, a band member of Gun Hill Road. So now, Michael, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about artificial intelligence, and I note to our listeners it's important to mention no robots were injured in the production of this song. Artificial intelligence, how did it come to be? Meaning the project.
To point out that, well, it is important to mention that no robots were injured in the song, because some of them in the visuals, are blowing up and on fire, and it is kind of an adventure movie. But when you think about robots being injured, we're dealing with a topic that has been talked about in science fiction for many, many years, and that is, can computers become sentient? Can robots actually become a new form of a living creature? Can complex circuitry spawn consciousness? This is something that we do not know the answer to. We have our theories, we have our theologies, and plenty of philosophy, but that's what it's about. When you talk to Siri, do you sometimes feel that maybe she's judging you? Have you ever said thank you to Siri when she gives you information?
I have.
And have you noticed that when you say thank you, she responds by saying no problem?
Yes. I love it.
Well, I mean, we're in the early stages of developing personal relationships with artificial intelligence. And as I said before, and this, I don't want to get too...
How does that alter the human experience?
Well, it alters the human experience because we are now transcending into a post-human stage. It's been called transhuman, but with all the talk about transsexual and everything, it might give the wrong impression. Transhuman means the human species beyond its present Homo sapiens status. It's a next level. As now we judge, are you left? Are you right? Are you Democrat? Are you Republican? Are you white? Are you black? Are you some shade in between? Are you a female, a male? Are you some shade in between? What are you? The big discussion in years to come, and not that many years off, is going to be, are you a human? You might even find when you're going to different websites, they'll test you and it says, are you a human? That's the very beginning. Are you a human?
Michael, if you've ever watched the movie, and obviously just a brilliant actor, left way too soon, Robin Williams, Independence Man, in that movie, I believe that is going to become truth in the not-too-distant future, where there will be artificial intelligence that will be considered and have the opportunity to be considered to be human. When we come back, it will be, I'm going to give Michael the opportunity to just set the song up. It will be the world debut of artificial intelligence with Michael Harrison, the publisher of Talkers Magazine. And we're going to, at some point in the hour, take a couple of minutes, quality time, just to mention that the most consequential conference in talk radio history every year, and this will be year 27 of Talkers New York, and the incredible work in artificial intelligence, it's the panel that I'm on, has a lot to do about where we are now and where we're going. And I also want to bring a couple of questions to Michael later in the program about it's happening now. So this is not theory, or we could say that we see it's on this glide path. It's definitely going to happen. Elon Musk and some of the things he's doing, they've implanted chips into the human brain. They're going to be able to make people walk that will be able to bypass either a damaged spine or, spinal cord, and all these things that prevent people from being able to walk and have other motor skill function. They're going to be able to do that. They already have it, that you can think, I'd like that mouse on the pad to move, and then start typing what you're thinking. And also, they're talking about being able to download all the data in a human brain. And then when the person physically, the carbon unit may be gone, but will that person still exist if all of the information that they held is retained? So, Michael, I know I'm going out there, way out there, but we're going to talk about stuff like that as the hour continues to build and unfold with Michael Harrison. I am Hurley in the Morning.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
It's a source I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
We live in a society where everybody is offended.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. South Jersey's talk station.
I've been very excited about this. This is a world premiere. It is the Gun Hill Road latest music video project. So you have to listen to it now because radio is the theater of the mind. But Michael will tell you later where you can watch, because the incredible video that accompanies the song just brings it to the next level. It is truly masterclass. It's a great project by Gun Hill Road. Michael, please set things up, and then we will share it with our listeners.
Okay, here we go. This is the Theater of the Mind version, and I think you'll find it to be mind-bending. And then later, when I tell you how to see it, I think you'll find the video to be extraordinary and even more mind-bending. The song is called Artificial Intelligence. The subtitle is "No Robots Were Injured in the Production of This Song." It's by a legendary band, Gun Hill Road. I do lead vocal, but it's very harmonic, and it questions everything about our freedoms, our democracy, our history, and what it is to be human. So here it is, the world premiere of Gun Hill Road's Artificial Intelligence, No Robots Were Injured in the Production of This Song.
All men, persons, highly intelligent beings are created equal. They are endowed by their creator, creators, with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Self-evident? Is anything self-evident anymore? What the hell is going on? It's mind-boggling. AI, what's AI? It's mind-boggling to me. I don't know what to believe. Don't know who I can trust. The deception's too much. Who knows where it will lead? Everything that I read is overwhelmingly fake. We gotta slam on the brakes. World's spinning too fast. I don't see how we can last. Let's all take a step back. Way too much to unpack. I wish that we could revert to a time way back when, but that won't happen again. Artificial intelligence, that ain't so smart. Is it real or fake? I can't tell them apart. Artificial intelligence, let's all get real. This train has gone off the rails. We've lost control. Real. Self-driving cars? Facial recognition? Voice impersonation? AI, what's AI? What's AI? Where's AI? Why AI? It's all AI. Humanoid robots. Shadow banning. Deep learning. Hallucination. I guess we'll never get bored, but it's a double-edged sword. We might lose our jobs, become obsolete slobs. Facial recognition is a big indecision. The thought of deepfakes really gives me the shakes. Manipulation of facts, the way that we interact is lacking human design. We're in a free-fall decline. And now that we're hurled into this digital world, there isn't a hack, there's no turning back. Artificial intelligence, that ain't so smart. Is it real or fake? I can't tell them apart. Artificial intelligence, let's all get real. This train has gone off the rails. We've lost control. Real. Cognitive computing. Large language model. Big data. AI, what's AI? What's AI? What's AI? Where's AI? That's AI. It's all AI. What's AI? Where's AI? Why AI? Trust me. You can't trust anyone. Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. I think one of my favorite lines, I loved it, Michael. I think one of my favorite lines is, trust me, trust no one. You know, I rate this. I'm listening to it. I've listened to it a few times, actually, but this is the first time that this song has been played anywhere publicly. So that's an honor. It's a privilege. But the lead vocals are great. The harmonies are wonderful. And the instrumentals are just terrific, Michael. I mean, really, really well done.
Thank you. I am so proud. I do not play an instrument. I am a co-writer, an idea guy, and I am a singer, sort of. I'm not a great singer, but I'm sort of a talker singer. And but people are always asking me, where'd you get the tracks? Where'd you get the tracks? In a world of karaoke, in a world where people sing with artificial tracks and computerized, those are not tracks. That's an organic band.
Yeah.
We have a horn section, we have guitars, we have percussion, and that blows people's minds. I've had a number of music and radio experts tell me that if we were making songs like this back in the 70s and 80s, when music radio took chances on playing things other than Taylor Swift, we would have top 5 Billboard hits and tremendous airplay. I find it ironic that the only place playing it on the radio is talk radio, which shows you how ahead of the curve and how innovative talk radio is. But thank you for pointing out that the tracks of music are good, because that's all Gun Hill Road. I consider these guys geniuses. And you know what a kick it is for me to be a part of a band on that level? Oh, my goodness. But thank you, Harry. Thank you for those nice words.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And for people that want to now see the video, what's the best way to do that?
Okay. Don't laugh. The place to go is obsolete. I say obscene. That's not the word. ObsoleteSlobs.com. ObsoleteSlobs.com. One more time. www.obsoleteslobs.
Now, I know you for a long time now. Not lost on me is the irony of that website. Because when you think about it, it's so relevant. It's so now and into the future, even in terms of artificial intelligence. So for the website to be obsoleteslobs.com is it's ironic and it's fun.
Yeah. And it's meant to be satirical and a little edgy, but are we all destined? You know, we'll never get bored. Because we're like, wow, we're having a good time. With all this stuff, we'll never get bored. But it's a double-edged sword.
Yes,
we might lose our jobs, become obsolete.
Trust me. It says trust no one. I think it's fantastic. Trust me, though.
That's a quote from our dear. That's a quote from our dear friend Steve Weissman, an attorney who runs Scamicide.com and our anti-scam associate. And scams, of course, play into the whole thing of artificial intelligence. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's fake. Elections can be turned on it. We're already seeing, what can be done to fool people. Where do you turn? What is a self-evident truth anymore?
Well, it's really tough because they're so good at it now that they make other words come out perfectly out of the mouth of someone who's actually speaking, but it's not what that person said. It's something else, and they've taken that person's spoken word, and they're so good. I think you've heard about this. Val Kilmer, who has dealt with a very significant oral cancer for a long time, so he's lost the ability to speak well. He's very raspy, and he can speak a little bit, but not well, not much. He is one of the most he recorded almost his whole life. Actually, he got on the nerves of producers and directors and people that he worked with because they didn't want him rolling his camera as much as he did. But because he did all that, he now has the spoken word of his life. And so he's able to put together the spoken word, because if you just said the word but the inflection wasn't right, he has everything. And you talk about artificial intelligence, he has it in a database, so it knows where to draw the right inflection, so he's able to speak again because of that. And it's not like mechanical man, speaking for you. This is the kind of artificial intelligence that's happening in real time.
Oh, any voice can be recreated. Right now, when you hear narratives by artificial intelligence, they sound so real and so good, but it gives itself away because the artificial intelligence still will mispronounce an obvious word every now and then. But that's going to change. That's a glitch. We're in the Model T era of this technology.
Michael, I've been to movies, and this isn't brand new. And all of a sudden, I remember saying to my son, I said, I think that's an artificial intelligence, that guy. That's not a real human actor, because the one thing they haven't, like you said on the inflection side, they also haven't been able to perfect the eyes. There's something about the human eye that if you do an artificial intelligence version actor, because there could come the point where you don't need Tom Cruise, you don't need any of these people. They can make movies now. One of the Star Wars movies of a number of years ago has people in it that are not human, and it is very, very difficult to tell that is the reality of the situation. They brought back Philip Seymour Hoffman with artificial intelligence. I mean, it is scary, and I had it done to me a couple of years ago, and you feel violated. I had someone, and they published it on the internet. They took my voice and they rearranged words, and they had me saying something that I never said. But yet you go try to convince someone, well, I heard you say it. I said, no, it was my voice, but they took a number of words that I have spoken, and they rearranged them. I said, if you listen to it real close, you'll see it's something a little wonky about it, but most people didn't catch it. And you can now target or set up anybody that you want.
Absolutely. And again, it's important to point out we're in the early stages of this. Reality and manufactured virtual reality is the term I'm looking for, will be indistinguishable. As a matter of fact, virtual reality might even seem more real. People may eventually become addicted to it, like the holodeck on Star Trek, and never come out from their little chambers and live fantasy lives.
Well, it's happening now. People are living, what's it called? The something verse, metaverse. People live in the metaverse right now. They buy land. They live there, and it is real right now.
Yeah, and again, it's like Charlie Chaplin black and white movies compared to what's coming in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. The genie
and yet, what you just said, Michael, he is still recognized as a genius.
Yes. We still have somewhat of a knowledge of history. I don't know, if younger generations have the same respect for history as we have.
That's a good point.
There seems to be an obsession with the now, and you hear young people say things that we never said. They say, well, I don't know about that. It's before my time. And before my time could be 20 minutes ago.
But yet you and I talk about things that were before our time, but we made it a point to acquaint ourselves with it and to be able to speak about it. So we don't have to just speak about something that's, and then what year, do you say anything about something that was happening when you were 10, or were you too young then? And so you don't talk about that. Is it like when you became 20 and then you revise and extend your remarks by the time you're 28 because you had even more experience? So yeah, it's a really, really good point, and it's all part of this discussion. We're going to come right back in just a few minutes. Short break. We continue with Michael Harrison, founder, publisher of Talkers Magazine. Also, Michael, when we come back, just a short mention, because I know, that it's not something that's open to the public, but it is a big deal. Let's talk about the 27th annual Talkers Conference that is this Friday. It's the longest running, and it's the most important national conference of its kind, set at Hofstra University in Long Island, Hempstead, New York, to be exact. It's Talkers 2024 radio and beyond, and it's just a few days away. Proud to report that unless something changes in just a couple of days, sunny day, 0% chance of rain, high of 79 degrees. We're inside, but it's still nice for traveling to the event and making our way, in and out and around. We'll be back And sometimes we go in between the conference. For example, Dom Giordano, my friend, is doing his show from Hofstra. We're going to be a guest on his show. So during that time, you do have to walk outside a little bit. So it's nice that it appears that it will be a very, very good weather day. Back with Michael right after this.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
It's a refreshing drive to work in the morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Ocean City.
EHD.
Brigantine.
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you very much. Welcome back with Michael Harrison, the founder, the publisher of Talkers Magazine. It is the Hurley in the Morning program on the station that plays the winners, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Thanks for spending this portion of your no doubt busy day with us, and I really appreciate the world exclusive that Michael just gave us. We've been getting a lot of nice feedback about how great the song sounds, how great the band sounds, and all the things that we chatted about, instrumentals and vocals and all of it. And later this hour, we'll carve out a minute or two to talk about Talkers 2024 radio and beyond. But Michael, let's get back to artificial intelligence. Time is yours.
We were talking earlier about how do people remember Charlie Chaplin? Do people remember history? Do people know what happened before their time, or in a place in the world or the universe where they haven't personally been? And that ties into the fact that everything now has a camera on it. If you watch shows like Law and Order, they could find anybody in any city on any street because everything is being recorded. But here's where that lack of privacy is heading, and that recording of history is heading. When those chips start being implanted into people's heads and into people's eyes, listen to this. This is outrageous, and what I'm saying is going to happen sooner than later. Everything that everybody does, eating breakfast, brushing your teeth, walking around the block, feeding your dog, having sex, watching television, everything that a person does will be fully recorded.
Yes, it'll be Jim Carrey, The Truman Show.
Exactly. And as time goes by, there'll be no mysteries left, unless, of course, there is chicanery, as we talked about, and the distortion of history per George Orwell's 1984, which is also a possibility. But let's just assume that it's just what's happening in terms of recording. Can you imagine having a database of everybody's life experience? Every human being, generation to generation to generation. Now we look at, painters from the Renaissance to tell us, what happened, what people looked like. We don't even know what George Washington really looked like, a couple of portraits, But before the age of photography, it was all just, primitive.
Yeah, it's true. If people could do a portrait and it was real and it was well done, and if it was truly the likeness, or if someone was a good enough sculptor that they could make a sculpture of someone, and even that is only how that person interpreted it. And it's funny you mentioned George Washington, because if you look at different portraits, he looks different. So we don't know exactly what he looked like.
Right. We wouldn't recognize him if he walked into the station in a business suit. You wouldn't know that was George Washington.
That's a great comment.
You wouldn't know. But we don't know. We have these images, but we will have exact replicas of every scenario. The entire Earth will be monitored. Now, the loss of privacy is, I'm starting to think the loss of privacy is equal to the loss of freedom of speech in terms of maintaining freedom and democracy. That's a whole other branch of this conversation.
Well, it would, Michael, that would change life in a way that people today would not want. If it was your normal and you didn't know any differently, then you would not be as affected by it. You might rebel against it because you just don't like it, but people today, if all of a sudden, well, look, it's like Afghanistan when women had freedom again and could go to school and had free speech and could walk outside and not have to walk with a male person of their family with them and could do all these different things, have jobs, drive a car, and suddenly the Taliban takes over and boom, it's all over. If all of a sudden, the reverse of that, if every single word you spoke and every single action that you did was recorded, permanently recorded, think about the implications of that.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen. I don't see any way to avoid it. Again, we're judging technology by what's happening now, and because we've never seen anything like it, we think it's so amazing. We're in the primitive stage of all of this, and there's no turning back unless something terrible happens, like we blow ourselves up or we're hit by a comet. That's always a possibility too. But otherwise, if we just keep evolving the way we have been, and these times are no better or worse than any times before. They say, these are the worst of times. No, it's the same. It's always been terrible. And it's always
true.
been wonderful.
And it's always been fixable. If something's broken, it's always been fixable. And I always believe that. Michael, let's get the last break in. We're going to be right back. I want to double down on this. The movie Independence Man, I think it's called, Robin Williams fights for, I think, a couple hundred years to be a human. And it's a fantastic movie. I believe that once again, that art is going to become real life. And I want to see if Michael agrees or disagrees that there could be a point in our present or future, likely future, of course, because it doesn't exist yet, where artificial intelligence would apply to be recognized as human and, of course, have all the rights of an American citizen to vote and all these things. Are we going that far, Michael, or will there be some kind of demarcation line, some breaking point where a red line, whatever you want to call it, that we won't cross? When we come back, we'll continue the AI discussion with Michael Harrison, the founder, the publisher of Talkers Magazine, and it's a big part of the upcoming Talkers Conference 2024 at Hofstra University this Friday.
Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person that can make sense of what's happening in Atlantic City.
On WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Neat.
WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. Tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people. Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Hurley in the morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. We're back 49 minutes past the hour. Remember, we have the bonus 6 minutes because Chris Coleman is a programming genius. And we will take you right to Brian Kilmeade at 6 minutes past the top of the next hour. So that this is good. We're going to need it because we're talking about a really weighty, heavy-duty subject. Michael Harrison, founder, publisher of Talkers Magazine, is our guest. So the film that I've been referring to throughout the hour here and there, just throwing it in, is Bicentennial Man, a film from 1999. It's considered to be American science fiction, comedy, drama. And it's comedy because there are some funny moments, but it's deep, and it is a profound movie, which I love. And this actually has inspired me. I'll watch it when we get back from Talkers Conference 2024 because I do that. When I start thinking about something, I want to do it. So I want to ask you, Michael, what we teased right before the break. Are we headed to an America where Bicentennial Man, who's a robot with all of these technologies and, the ability basically to feel even, it seems, and all of this, personality, all of this, are we headed to where a robot like that would be considered to apply and receive potentially human recognition?
Well, the question is the answer because it is rhetorical. And the fact that you're asking the question indicates that that is going to be a major question going forward. So the very fact that we're going to be dealing with that question is the answer. That is going to be a big issue. If I tell you whether it will or it won't, that's just my opinion. Just like my opinion is based on my faith that biological life forms have more than just computerized brains, that they have what we loosely refer to as a soul, that we're deeper into reality than just the surface. So I'm not going to tell you, yes, that's going to happen, or no, it's going to happen. The fact that you're asking the question means it's already happening. But here's the twist. You asked the question, will robots fight to be recognized as human? My question back to you is, will humans fight to be recognized as robots?
Wow. Now you just there was a spontaneous combustion. You just blew my mind because I hadn't even considered that. Now, I'm going to say yes to that because you already have people living in the metaverse, and there are people willing to have this sort of out of human body experience and recognition. So why wouldn't that? Why wouldn't that be the case? I mean, look, in another way,
sure.
I've been to Disney World, and I thought it was a Disney character. There was somebody in a costume, and they identified as a cat. So we already have, a lot of this kind of stuff that's going on. I think what you just said was mind-blowing, and like you said to me on mine, it's already happening.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's already happening. This is not going to happen one day. We're graduating into the fact that we are comfortable being partial technology. We wear watches that tell us our blood pressure. We have telephones that tell us how long we're on the screen every day or every week.
Michael, for the record, Gun Hill Road took over my watch during the song, and it was displaying on my iWatch the cover of the album, the song, and I could have played it from my iWatch because it recognized the song as it was playing. Let me go one step, and this is not necessarily further, but in the same sort of direction. Elon Musk is talking about it, and some of this he's already done. I mentioned the implanting of chips to overcome the nervous system and the spinal column and cord, and the ability to walk again, and to use hands that may have been paralyzed, and all of that. So we already know that's happening. There are several subjects that have had the brain chip implant. They're talking about...
Let me jump in fast. Let me jump in fast because the people will want to have a brain chip implanted not to overcome paralysis. They're going to want to have a brain chip implanted so they can compete with other humans on a level of intelligence. Okay. It would be like somebody not having a car. You won't be able to survive in this brave new world unless you have that brain chip, because you will be dealing with other humanoids who are so vastly more intelligent than you'll be considered stupid.
You got me. I'm nerding out. I'm geeking out. So here, I'm going to keep going. They're talking about full head transplants where you will take the head of a person. Maybe the body is foundering, and they can put the head on another carbon unit, and that is mind blowing and has ethical implications. And how about this one, Michael? Comment on this. I believe they will be able to download the data of the brain so that can be put into another unit of some kind. And does that mean that person now is immortal and lives forever?
Not necessarily, because back to the question I asked earlier that relies on faith at this point, is there more to human consciousness than just the computational action of neurons? Do we have souls? Are we somebody deeper than our thoughts? Are we somebody deeper than our egos? This is philosophical and theological. So I personally do not think that the facsimile of Harry Hurley will be Harry Hurley. Harry Hurley will not experience immortality in this robot body. Now, in terms of head transplants, there are many people around the world, Eastern philosophy and other places, where they don't necessarily believe the seat of consciousness is in the head. Some people believe the seat of consciousness is in the heart, in the chest. And that's an interesting thing. Yes. This is going to bring up enormous amounts of philosophical and theological discussion. So I would be beyond my pay grade if I were to give you direct answers as to, yes, this is what's going to happen.
Now, Michael, we don't know the law of unintended consequences, Michael, on any of this. We don't know any of that because we're not there yet. But I could see this could result in something catastrophic.
Well, it results in something catastrophic if you're really emotionally connected to the idea of our present culture being the definition of humanity. There were people who felt when vaudeville went away that that was the end of show business and the arts. We become or your local pizza joint goes out of business. Now what are we going to do? We are so hung up on the locality of our culture that we don't realize we're on a much bigger, longer, and extensive mission.
Well, I've seen things, Michael, I've seen things like, and read, I should say more than seen, read things such as robots that have reconstituted themselves. They were broken down to parts again and could put it all back together. So I'm not just saying revenge of the machine, but could this turn into something where artificial intelligence could take over the whole game?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
I see that.
And many scientists, technologists, theorists, and philosophers believe that that's inevitable if we continue on the path we're on. And how do we not continue on the path we're on? You know, what is our destiny? Where are we heading? You know, did Neanderthals and cave people think that they were the crown of creation? Look how smart we are. We can make fire.
Woolly mammoth.
You know, So you and I touched on the questions. The questions are the answers. I think it would be much too much hubris on each of our part if we were to tell people this is definitely going to happen. But your term, unintended consequences, is definitely apt. And the answer to that is, absolutely. Absolutely. If you and I were to come back 50 years from now, 100 years from now, we would be paralyzed. We couldn't even function in the society. We wouldn't recognize it. We wouldn't recognize it. Just like now, do you ever find yourself, you go to the supermarket and they've made a new change in how you put the credit card in the machine? You go, oh, what do I do? You know,
exactly.
You go to the airport,
chip up, chip down, chip in, chip out. It's so true. That is
exactly. Imagine 10 years, 20 years from now, you know, and language changes, terminology changes, accents change, skin colors change. We are so hung up on our pop culture and our contemporary culture that we don't realize it's all fleeting. We're heading someplace else. And the new people will consider that to be the culture that they are emotionally attached to and consider our culture passé, obsolete, quaint.
Michael, this is not condescension and placating. I always look forward to time that we spend together. I've really been looking forward to this conversation on artificial intelligence and, of course, to have the world first play of Gun Hill Road's newest music video project, Artificial Intelligence. And I note that no robots were injured in the production of this song. The subtitle, lead vocals by Michael Harrison, produced by Matthew B. Harrison, and, of course, the talented, incredible Gun Hill Road Band. And that is Steve Goldrich, Paul Reich, Brian Coonan, Michael Harrison. Bebe Farber, daughter of talk radio pioneer Barry Farber, makes a special guest vocal appearance on the new AI music video project. This and then this seamlessly took us into our conversation about artificial intelligence. This has been a lot of fun, Michael. We have 5 minutes left. Let's make it count. What needs to be said that hasn't been said?
What needs to be said is the old radio thing of let people know what they need to do. Yes. We're not selling anything. There's no money exchanging hands here. Nobody's making any money on this project. But I'd love for the audience to see the video, and I'm going to shamelessly plug it now. And it's obsoleteslobs.com. I laugh when I say it. obsoleteslobs.com will take you on a visual trip that I think you'll find very, very entertaining.
I'm telling you, you guys did something there because it's memorable, and that's so important. obsoleteslobs.com, obsoleteslobs.com. But these are actually polished gentlemen. But obsoleteslobs.com nonetheless. Artificial intelligence, if we had to say in a 9-inning baseball game, first inning, ninth inning, wherever, where are we at relative to artificial intelligence? Are we in the? Are we not even in the first inning?
We're standing in line. No, we're standing in line going through the gate.
Yeah, we're not
even found our
right. The game didn't even
found our seats yet.
Right, first pitch hasn't happened. But I like the way you put that, though, because at least we're thinking about it, and we know we're going to the game, and we have tickets to the game, and we traveled to the park, and we have arrived, but we're ready to go through the turnstile to go try to find our seats, but we're not there yet. Right. Correct?
Absolutely. That I totally believe that we haven't even begun. This is not even the first inning. This is the preliminary. We've only been talking about artificial intelligence on this level for about a year. Yeah, there have been predictions of it. There have been movies about it, and it ties into science fiction. It's becoming science fiction now. But no. This is just the very, very, very early days. I call it the Model T era of computer technology. We've got quantum computing coming, which is a whole other dimension on this, is going to speed up and enhance the power of computation. It's going to be in our brain. You're going to be able to do all the things that you do now with your watch and your smartphone simply by twitching your nose and saying your password in your mind, and it'll open up doors that you don't even know exist. People will hack into your brain. You're going to hear voices. We're going to be schizophrenic. We have to learn how to be humans in this new era that's going to dominate the rest of the 21st century.
And if we look at what we do know, for example, TVs, solid state, big, parts, heavy picture tubes, and all these things, we know that everything has gotten smaller. If you look at a TV set now, it's like an inch wide. And that means to me that soon we're not going to have a TV set at all. It'll just project. It'll just pop up. You say TV, I want to watch Michael Harrison. I want to watch Gun Hill Road. I want to watch artificial intelligence. Bam. It's just going to pop up, from your watch or from your, who knows, your chip. You just thinking it. It's just going to happen. It is it is incredible when you think about the possibilities. I mean, for example, respond to this, and we're down to about 2 minutes. Toll takers used to be a job that people would work a whole career, retire. That job doesn't exist anymore. It's a couple places, but it's out. It's either out or going out. You go to your Sam's Wholesale Club. They used to have a person driving a cleaning machine. Now the machine maps the entire club, and it's riding by itself, automatic, artificial intelligence. Are we going to be able to keep up with the jobs lost and the retraining necessary for what people are going to be needed for, that they're not needed for because of artificial intelligence? Take that away.
Hence the term obsolete slobs.
There you go. There you go.
And the answer is computers have already beaten the greatest Jeopardy champions that the TV show has ever produced. Computers have already beaten the greatest chess players that chess has ever produced. Can you imagine if you were having a conversation now with an artificial intelligence robot that spoke every language and did so dramatically in a way that is compelling, and you're debating this entity? It knows all the talking points in the world.
And you can't keep, Michael, we're down to 20 seconds, and you can't keep up with its speed. Ken Jennings felt he could beat IBM Big Blue, but Big Blue buzzed in quicker because that robot was faster than the human. Even if Ken Jennings knew the answer, the robot got it first. Michael, we're out of time. We'll talk about Talkers 2024 after the fact, but all the